Chapter 2008. The sky above and the ground below were covered by endless divine runes. The three sovereigns and hundreds of saint kings of the celestial court stood guard. With the three sovereigns in the lead, they all looked coldly at Fengshen Tianzun and the others, as if they were already looking at prisoners. You have no room to resist. Today, you will only be suppressed, one of the sovereigns said. One of the sovereigns said as he sealed off the area. No one below the sky-reaching realm could go against him. As his words fell, the endless divine runes of the law-suppressing cage trembled slightly, emitting rays of light that froze everything. This scene shocked Lin Tian. He had cultivated the Formation Emperor's Tianyi soul mantra, so he could naturally sense the terrifying power of the law-suppressing cage. It was as if it could suppress heaven and earth. The 9 disciples of the human king, the descendants of the celestial spirit royal family, and the descendants of the ancient gods. If we suppress you all together, the divine master will be extremely happy. Another dominator rank expert spoke. Ordinary Saint King cultivators simply couldn't enter their eyes, much less the eyes of the heavenly court's heavenly master. But Empyrean Divine Seal and the others were absolutely not ordinary Saint Kings. Each one of them had a heaven-shaking origin. Suppressing a group of Saint Kings like this was extremely valuable and meaningful. Suppress, the sovereign said again. As his words fell, the law-suppressing cage's light shot up into the sky and directly pressed down on Fengshen Tianzun and the others. Its aura was turbulent and surging. Facing this turbulent pressure, Lin Tian could not help but tremble. He only felt that his entire body had become cold. Then, he tilted his head and looked at Fengshen Tianzun and the others. Fengshen Tianzun and the others were not ordinary people. He believed that before they came, they must have expected that there would be people from the celestial court guarding here. This way, they would definitely have a way to deal with it. In fact, his guess was very accurate. You think too much, Fengshen Tianzun said calmly. Beside him, the Emperor of the Immortal Spirit Emperor smiled faintly and did not say anything. In the next moment, strands of 6-colored divine light intertwined. Behind him, a soul shadow appeared. In the blink of an eye, it grew to a height of 300 meters. It was intertwined with the same 6-colored divine radiance, but it was unknown how much stronger it was. Its divine might was vast and mighty, and it caused the world in all directions to tremble. The sky directly collapsed. Chi! 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 A series of crisp sounds rang out. In the blink of an eye, the law-suppressing cage was shattered by the aura emitted by the soul shadow. This is... Lin Tian stood off to the side and looked at the soul shadow that had suddenly emerged from the Immortal Spirit Emperor's main body, and he couldn't help but shudder. The aura emitted by this soul shadow was too terrifying. It was shocking to the extreme, as if it could easily devour the world. Yeah, little Taichu glared at the soul shadow behind the Emperor of the Immortal Spirit Emperor. The soul shadow's aura was exactly the same as the Emperor of the Immortal Spirit Emperors. Its origin was resonating with it. The 3 sovereigns of the celestial court and hundreds of saint kings changed their expressions. The coldness they had just now disappeared in an instant, and they were all replaced by fear. That old demon, Yu, the sovereign of the celestial court, who had been indifferently saying that Fengshen Tianzun and the others were no match for him, could not help but tremble at this moment. It's very rude to call someone else's ancestor an old demon, the Emperor of the Immortal Spirit Emperor said lightly. As he finished speaking, the soul shadow behind him opened its eyes. They were like 2 eternal black holes, extremely terrifying to the extreme. With a whoosh, the sovereign of the celestial court, who had spoken, was instantly disintegrated. Not a drop of blood flowed out, and it was directly weathered into sand. Lin Tian's heart skipped a beat. A sovereign was destroyed just like that. At the same time, he was also shocked by the Emperor of the Immortal Spirit Emperor's words. He stared unblinkingly at the soul shadow. This is the ancestor of the Immortal Spirit Emperor family? Previously, when he was in Dafan Holy Land, he had heard from a wisp of Tao Master Kong Ming's soul that the immortal spirit emperor family had an extremely terrifying old demon. He did not expect to see it today. Although it was only a soul shadow, its aura was terrifying. It was as if there was nothing it could not do. The ancestor of the little guy's bloodline? The white tiger's eyes also widened, its face full of shock. Within the celestial mountain range, the other two sovereigns of the celestial court and hundreds of saint kings were all terrified. Then, without saying a word, they all fled into the distance. They had set up a law-suppressing cage here. Anyone below the level of immortal spirit emperor family would be suppressed. They were already prepared to suppress Fengshen Tianzuan and the others, but they did not expect that the ancestor of the immortal spirit emperor family would appear here. That person was known as the Old Demon by the Celestial Court before the primordial antiquity. Even the immortal spirit emperors of the Celestial Court were wary of him. Although it was only a soul shadow that had appeared here, it was not something they could withstand. The emperor of the immortal spirit emperor's expression was calm. He did not say anything. Behind them, the soul shadow's eyes were extremely deep and weathered. A glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. In an instant, the fleeing elites of the celestial court trembled. Then, like the sovereigns before them, they shattered one after another. Even the other two sovereigns who had already stepped into the space tunnel were no exception. As the soul shadow's eyes moved, the space collapsed. Their bodies fell out and were directly shattered. Everyone's body and soul were destroyed in an instant. Seeing this scene, Lin Tian could not help but feel his scalp go numb. Such a group of elites had actually been wiped out in an instant. This is really... The white tiger swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Yeah. Little Taichu stood on the shoulder of the emperor of the immortal spirit emperor family. Looking at the soul shadow behind the emperor of the immortal spirit emperor family, he blinked his big eyes and looked like he was greeting him. The soul shadow was at least 100 feet tall. His eyes were deep and weathered, as if he had truly seen through everything. His gaze moved and fell on the little fellow. After pausing for a moment, a ray of six-colored divine light shot out and entered the little fellow's forehead. Then, in the next moment, the soul shadow became faint and then slowly disappeared. Yeah, why is it gone? The little fellow's eyes widened. Although its temperament had always been like a child, it had just understood that the soul shadow was the ancestor of its lineage. It had wanted to talk to the ancestor, but the ancestor had disappeared in an instant. The emperor of the immortal spirit emperor family rubbed the little fellow's head and said with a smile, "The ancestor is in seclusion in the long river of time. The amount of soul power he can separate is very limited. He won't be able to last for long. In addition, he seems to have given you some special power just now, so he disappeared. Don't worry, you will see him again in the future." Beside them, Lin Tian listened to the emperor of the immortal spirit emperor family's explanation to the little fellow. His heart could not help but twitch. The long river of time was very dangerous. Stepping into it, one's body and soul would be destroyed if one was not careful. However, the ancestor of the immortal spirit emperor family was in seclusion in the long river of time. Chapter 2009. Cultivating in seclusion in the river of time really made Lin Tian's heart palpitate. How terrifying! The white tiger trembled and couldn't help but swallow its saliva. Fengshen Tianzuan and the others were very calm. Obviously, they knew about this. They went to find the ancestor of the immortal spirit imperial family, who was in seclusion, and used a wisp of her divine soul to help. They entered the river of time together. "Let's go," Fengshen Tianzuan said. Immediately, Lin Tian followed Fengshen Tianzuan and the others and stepped into the group of immortal mountains in front of them. The immortal mountains were connected, and the ancient trees were very healthy. Not long after, the group arrived at the center of the immortal mountains. There was a small valley in the center of the immortal mountains. Fengshen Tianzuan came here because he had heard about what happened back then from the human king. He was very familiar with this place. Soon, they entered the depths of the small valley and came in front of a stone door. The stone door didn't have complicated divine patterns or ancient seals. It only had a groove in the shape of a key. Lin Tian came here and looked at the stone door in front of him. The first thing he felt was an extremely shocking time fluctuation lingering around the stone door. Moreover, there was an extremely obvious difference between the flow of time here and the outside world. He felt that behind the stone door, there seemed to be an independent river of time sealed. Behind that is the space-time space formed because the human king comprehended the Tao here. A bright light appeared in his eyes. The human king was a true, invincible legend. Now, he had come to the place where that existence had comprehended the Tao. Fengshen Tianzuan stood at the front. His right hand flashed, and a simple stone key appeared. It was intertwined with an abundant ancient intent. He placed it into the groove on the stone door. Immediately, the stone door trembled and slowly opened. Light overflowed, as if a new world had been opened. The flow of time was different from the outside world. It became even more obvious. Even a true immortal cultivator could feel it. "Let's go." Fengshen Tianzuan took out the stone key from the stone door and called Lin Tian and the others to enter the stone door. Lin Tian followed Fengshen Tianzuan and the others through the stone door. Immediately, the stone door closed with a creak. Standing behind the stone gate, he gazed into the boundless space before him. It wasn't too small, but it wasn't too large either. There were many ancient trees within, and they were shockingly thick. It was not something the outside world could compare to at all. It truly reached into the clouds. Moreover, the divine energy fluctuations in this space were incomparably rich, and it was also incomparable to the outside world. The difference was several dozen times. After about 10 days in the outside world, this space will collapse. Start cultivating immediately. Fengshen Tianzuan said. As soon as he said this, Lin Tian was immediately moved. White Tiger and Little Taichu were no exception. This space will collapse? He was a little surprised. Fengshen Tianzuan nodded. He was the strongest person in this place. He was very gentle and said with a smile, "The flow of time in this space is similar to the world crevice. It is different from the outside world, but it is not as stable as the world crevice. The things that have always existed in this space, such as water, stone, and wood, will not affect it. However, if other things suddenly intervene, it will quickly break the balance and cause it to self-destruct. This is what Master told us when he first mentioned this space." Lin Tian immediately understood when he heard this. Their intervention at this time was the foreign things that would break the balance of this space. When the Lord of the Celestial Court first discovered this space, he only estimated the difference between the flow of time in this space and the outside world. He didn't know who created this space, nor did he know that this space would only last for about 10 days after it opens. Otherwise, he wouldn't have cared so much about this space. The royal lord of the celestial spirit emperor smiled faintly. In this space, 1,000 years passed in this space. 1 day passed in the outside world, and 10 days passed in the outside world. This space would collapse. In other words, this space could give the practitioners an extra 10,000 years of cultivation time. 10,000 years of cultivation time was a very large number. However, for the lords of the celestial court, it was really nothing. After all, those who were crowned with the title of Lord of the Celestial Court in the Celestial Court were all at the ascending heaven level. For those at the ascending heaven level, an extra 10,000 years of time was meaningless and would not be tempting. However, these 10,000 years were undoubtedly very important to Fengshen Tianzuan and the others who were now at the Saint King level. With the density of the divine aura in this space and their aptitude, an extra 10,000 years of time could change many things. In this space, the celestial mountains were next to each other. They were all very majestic. Because this space could not be maintained indefinitely, although they could have 10,000 years of time, the group also cherished it very much. They each found a celestial mountain and directly began to cultivate. For a time, more than 10 different kinds of luster gushed out in this space. It was glossy and shiny. Lin Tian began to circulate the Sun Heart Sutra. This was the ancient sutra that he had chosen to cultivate the most suitable for himself. With the circulation of this ancient sutra, golden divine light immediately intertwined outside his body and surrounded him. The divine aura from all directions surged toward him. It was very thick and made him feel as if he was in the sea of Lingjing. Every pore on his body could not help but relax at this time. He was not surprised because when he first entered this space, he felt that the divine aura in this space was very thick. At this time, he was naturally very calm in such a state. He circulated the Sun Heart Sutra and adjusted his essence, energy, and spirit to the peak state. Then, he propped up the Saint Realm. The evolution and growth of the Saint Realm required very thick divine aura. The environment in this space was very suitable for it. For this Saint Realm, people who did not know the reason would only think that it was a small world that a cultivator had evolved with his own divine power. It was very difficult to see that it was a real big world that was opened up by a world seed. He had never tried to hide it. Moreover, for Fengshen Tianzuan and the others in front of him, he did not need to hide at all. They were the disciples of the human king, the descendants of the ancient god clan, and the descendants of the immortal spirit royal family. In front of these people, there was no need to hide at all. Buzz! As soon as the Saint Realm appeared, the most primitive aura of heaven and earth immediately emerged and intertwined in this space. Outside this space, in the center of the Void Realm, in the center of the Heaven Realm, there were magnificent divine palaces connected to each other. No one knew how long they had existed. The aura of time was extremely thick. They're all dead? Among the group of divine palaces, in one of the divine palaces, a pair of cold eyes opened. They were extremely deep. Just now, someone came to report that the experts of the celestial court guarding the stone door were all dead. Those people of the younger generation entered it. In the divine palace, another pair of eyes opened. It was as if they had seen the universe. They were also very indifferent. At the same time, they intertwined with a very obvious coldness. There was a murderous light in them. That space is very special. We can't let them continue to live there, even if we have to destroy it. A third pair of eyes opened. The voice was cold. In this space, Buzz. Outside Lin Tian's body, his essence, energy, and spirit strengthened bit by bit. His Saint Realm also changed. The plants inside were growing rapidly. Just like that, time passed. In the blink of an eye, he had passed 500 years in this space. Chapter 2010. To step from the Divine Emperor Realm to the Quasi-Saint Realm, one needed to convert all the divine power in one's body into saint power. This was a very complicated process. Just as Xin Huang had said, it was very difficult to carry out. In the lower realms, people such as Taishang had been trapped at the end of the Divine Emperor Realm for many years before breaking through. But now, in this place of the Void Realm, which was once the place of enlightenment for human kings, the divine qi inside was very shocking. Therefore, in just a few hundred years, Lin Tian had reached the end of the Divine Emperor Realm from the Middle Divine Emperor Realm. Then, he completely converted all the divine power in his body into life force and rushed into the Quasi-Saint Realm. At this time, he looked into his body. The saint power was flowing in his body. Although it was still golden, its quality was obviously different from the divine power. He could clearly feel that this saint power was much stronger than the divine power. At the same time, he observed his divine soul, sea of consciousness, and physique. All of them had undergone a huge qualitative change. The soul energy of his divine soul was pure and vigorous. His sea of consciousness was vast and boundless. His physique was even more indestructible. It was as if he could shatter everything with a punch. Good. His eyes were intertwined with a bright light. He couldn't help but say to himself, now he could feel his strength. Although he had just stepped into the Quasi-Saint Realm and was at the first level of the Quasi-Saint Realm, his combat strength was absolutely tyrannical. His combat strength alone was enough to fight anyone below the 7th level of the Quasi-Saint Realm. And when he used the reincarnation forging spirit technique, ordinary cultivators below the Saint Realm were absolutely no match for him. He took a deep breath and looked at Fengshen Tianzuan and the others who were cultivating nearby. Then he continued to cultivate. However, in the next moment, he suddenly changed his expression. Where's the heavenly tribulation? He was slightly surprised. With his reincarnation constitution, after stepping into the airborne realm, every time he stepped into a major realm, it would trigger a destructive heavenly tribulation. But now, when he stepped into the quasi-saint realm from the divine emperor realm, there was no heavenly tribulation. After becoming a saint, there is no heavenly tribulation? He frowned and then looked at this space-time. Or is it because this space-time is isolated from the outside world, and the heavenly tribulation can't be suppressed temporarily? He thought seriously and thought for a quarter of an hour. Unfortunately, it was difficult to come to an accurate conclusion. After that, he couldn't be bothered to think about it. After all, he couldn't figure it out even if he thought about it. Continuing to think about it was undoubtedly a waste of time. He exhaled a mouthful of foul air, closed his eyes, and immersed himself in cultivation once more. Buzz! He activated the Heart Sutra of the sun outside his body. Saint power interweaved, and saint might circled around him. After stepping into the quasi-saint realm, there was only one key to cultivation, and that was to refine the saint power in the body. This was similar to how a cultivator from the airborne realm began to refine their divine powers after stepping into the connecting immortal realm. However, the difference in difficulty was like heaven and earth. The refinement of holy powers was tens of thousands of times more difficult than converting divine powers into holy powers. Every step was very difficult. After Lin Tian stepped into the quasi-saint level, he began to refine his saint energy. Very soon, he sensed how difficult it was to cultivate at this level. It was as difficult as picking up a silver needle from the boundless ocean. It was both mentally and physically taxing. However, his will was very firm. Although he discovered that refining his saint energy was very difficult, he didn't care. His expression was as usual. The Heart Sutra of the sun operated even faster, stripping away the impurities in his saint energy bit by bit. At the same time, the evolution of the sacred domain was also proceeding at the same time. The life aura inside became denser, and there were even miniature mountains appearing in some places. There were even some green trees that swayed with the gentle breeze. Just like that, in the blink of an eye, he was living in this space-time. According to the flow of time in this space-time, another 2,000 years had passed. In these 2,000 years, Lin Tian cultivated seriously while living in this space-time. The saint power in his body was much purer, and the saint might outside his body was denser. His essence, qi, and spirit were more vigorous. His cultivation base went from the first level of the quasi-saint realm to the sixth level of the quasi-saint realm. It's so difficult. On this day, 2,000 years later, he opened his eyes and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. After reaching the quasi-saint realm, it was far too difficult to rely on one's own body to temper one's saint strength without relying on special heavenly materials. For Empyrean Divine Seal and the others to reach the Saint King realm from the quasi-saint realm in just several years, they must have had some sort of special lucky chance. He didn't think that his aptitude was very good, but it definitely wasn't bad either. Not many people could compare to him. However, it took him 2,000 years to reach the sixth level of the quasi-saint realm from the early stage of the quasi-saint realm. Even if he was distracted during this process, cultivating his body and evolving the sacred domain at the same time, it was enough to show how difficult it was to cultivate after the quasi-saint realm. This made him feel that even with Wu Yi's heaven-defying aptitude, it would be difficult to reach the Saint King realm from the early stage of the quasi-saint realm in just a few years with normal cultivation. Although Fengshen Tianzuan and the others were very powerful, in terms of aptitude, they were definitely far from being comparable to Wu Yi. It was absolutely impossible to reach the Saint King realm from the early stage of the quasi-saint realm in just a few years with normal cultivation. There must be some special encounters that allowed them to reach the Saint King realm from the early stage of the quasi-saint realm in just a few years. Based on this level of difficulty, how much time would it take to reach the Heaven Ascension realm with normal cultivation? He couldn't help but sigh. Then, very quickly, he gradually calmed down again. This was because it was meaningless to think about such a problem at this time. He took a deep breath, and the heart of the Sun Sutra circulated steadily, and continued to refine his saint power. Kaboom! At this moment, the space suddenly trembled as if there was an earthquake, shaking violently. This shocked him, and just as he was about to continue cultivating, he was forced to stop because of the shaking. At the same time, Fengshen Tianzuan and the others, who were cultivating, naturally felt it and opened their eyes one after another. Some people can't sit still anymore and have started to attack outside the stone door. They probably want to destroy this space directly. The royal lord of the immortal spirit royal family smiled faintly. Lin Tian heard this and was immediately moved. Senior, do you mean that this shaking is from the people of the celestial court attacking the stone door and this space from outside? He asked. The royal overlord of the celestial spirit kingdom nodded. More or less. He smiled. However, we don't have to worry about them. The seal around this space was left behind by that existence. Even if all the heaven ascension, celestial lords of the celestial court were here, they wouldn't be able to break the seal at all. They wouldn't be able to destroy this space through the seal. At most, they would cause this space to shake a little, and it wouldn't affect us at all. Chapter 2011. Lin Tian had naturally thought of the problem raised by the white tiger. When he heard the white tiger voice such doubts, he looked at the Emperor of Immortal Spirit, Fengshen Tianzuan, and the others. The Emperor of Immortal Spirit had only given him a strand of his spirit, and he could no longer rely on that method. Moreover, even if that strand of spirit was still there, it would probably be difficult to deal with the future situation. After all, those outside the stone door seemed to be the celestial master-level cultivators of the celestial court. They were all Ascension Realm cultivators, and those were not existences that could be dealt with by just a strand of spirit from the Emperor of Immortal Spirit. However, he was not worried at all. He believed that the Emperor of Immortal Spirit and the others must have other methods to deal with the future situation. After all, these people were not ordinary people. The outside world has made preparations. In the last year of the space-time space, we have made some preparations inside to deal with the problems at that time. Don't worry, the Emperor of Arrays said. A light flashed in Lin Tian's eyes, and he thought to himself, just as I thought, these people had indeed made all kinds of preparations. Continue to cultivate. This space-time space can still last for about 7,000 years. Although it's a lot of time, it's best not to waste it. Fengshen Tianzuan smiled faintly. On this day, Lin Tian stayed in the space-time space and continued to cultivate. The Heart Sutra of Sun was activated. Outside his body, strands of golden divine light intertwined, and his essence, chi, and spirit increased bit by bit. Saint power lingered in his body, and he seriously refined it, making the saint power in his body more and more crystal clear and pure. At the same time, he was also dividing his attention to evolve the sacred domain. As time passed, more mountains and plants appeared in the space-time space, and the aura of life became stronger, and the territory became wider. Boom! The space-time space shook as if there was a huge earthquake. This vibration was the same as the one just now. Lin Tian knew that there was a supreme cultivator from the celestial court outside the space-time space that was bombarding the stone door. In this regard, because he had already learned from the Emperor of Immortal Spirit and the others that the stone door in the space-time space was sturdy, he did not care and still closed his eyes to cultivate seriously. The refinement of the saint power and the evolution of the sacred domain were carried out together. Just like that, time passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, nearly 10,000 years passed. Nearly 10,000 years had passed. On this day, Lin Tian made another breakthrough and temporarily stopped cultivating. Ninth Heaven Sage! He muttered to himself as a bright light flashed across his eyes. Since reaching the 6th tier of the Second Saint Realm over 7,000 years ago, he had relied on himself to cultivate seriously while evolving his saint domain. On this day, he had reached the 9th heaven of the Saint Realm and was not far away from the Saint King Realm. At the same time, the sacred domain became even more vast. There were even more mountain ranges inside. The life aura was extremely shocking. All right, he muttered to himself. After that, it thought of another problem. In the past 7,000 years, it had advanced from the quasi-saint stage to the saint stage, but there was still no heavenly tribulation in this space. The advancement process was very smooth. Strange, he muttered to himself. Crack! Suddenly, a crisp sound was heard. At this time, in many places in this space, the void suddenly distorted, and time and space began to become chaotic. This chaos was very faint, but it was mixed with a very terrifying aura, which made Lin Tian's expression change immediately. At the same time, Fengshen Tianzuan, the Emperor of Immortal Spirit, and the others also sensed this change. At this time, they all opened their eyes and stopped cultivating. The time of 10,000 years is almost up. It's about to start collapsing. Fengshen Tianzuan stood up, and a bright light flashed across his eyes. Hearing this, Lin Tian's expression changed again. This space was about to collapse. However, he quickly calmed down again. After calculating, it had been 10,000 years since he first entered this space. This space was indeed about to collapse. It's time to prepare, the Emperor of Immortal Spirits said. On the 9 immortal peaks next to them, Ao, Jian Tianzuan, Wu Ming, and the others stood up one after another. The Array Emperor stepped into the sky, and his sacred power immediately appeared. The void in all directions trembled slightly, and endless array patterns surged out in an instant. As these array patterns appeared, Lin Tian was immediately startled. He could vaguely feel the Array Emperor's cultivation at this time. The Dominator Realm. He was shocked. At this time, Celestial Master Zhang Long walked out from another position. Dragon patterns appeared all over the sky, imprinting into the void and imprinting into the ground. The aura he emitted was not weaker than the Array Emperor, and was also at the Dominator Realm. This made him shocked again. After that, he could not help but look at Fengshen Tianzuan, the Emperor of Immortal Spirit, and the others. They should all be dominators. His heart thumped, but soon he calmed down again. In these 10,000 years, he was multitasking. Under the situation where he cultivated his body and created the sacred domain, he could reach the 9th Heaven Saint realm from the Middle God Emperor realm. Then, Fengshen Tianzuan and the others could cultivate from the Sacred King realm to the Sacred Venerate realm, and then to the Dominator realm. This was naturally not surprising. After all, none of the 11 people were simple. Each of them had a very shocking origin. Then, he looked at the little Taichu and the white tiger. The little guy was the same as him, reaching the 9th Heaven Saint realm. The white tiger was slightly weaker, but it had also reached the 3rd Heaven Saint realm. At this time, it was excitedly clenching its paws. Wong! The formation runes were everywhere, and the dragon runes were intertwined in all directions. The Formation Emperor and Celestial Lord Zhang Long were working at the same time, setting up formation runes and dragon runes in this space. The two intertwined with each other, building a special holy formation. This sacred array was very complicated. Lin Tian looked at it seriously, and then found that he could not understand this sacred array at all with his current 9th Heaven Saint realm cultivation. However, he still looked at it seriously. He felt that it would be of great help to his Array Dao and Dragon Pattern Dao as he watched the two of them draw this sacred array. Time passed quickly. He carefully watched the Array Emperor and Celestial Master Zhang Long draw the special sacred array. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. During this year, he carefully watched the two of them imprint the array patterns and dragon patterns. He had improved a lot on the path of Array Dao and Dragon Technique. It was also on this day that the Array Emperor and Celestial Master Zhang Long stopped at the same time. A vast sacred array intertwined, and every place in the space was surrounded by sacred light. "It's done," Celestial Master Zhang Long said. The sacred array covered the entire space. Lin Tian could not help but feel his heart palpitate. He only felt that this sacred array seemed to be able to swallow the sky. It was also at this time that cracking sounds were constantly heard. In this space, the void became even more distorted. At the same time, the stone door was shaking. It was as if someone was bombarding it from the outside. "It's time to welcome the guests," Fengshen Tianzuan said. He flicked his finger, and the stone key left by the human king turned into a ray of light and flew out, instantly disappearing into the stone door. With a creak, the stone door shook, and then slowly opened. Light poured in from the outside. At the same time, there was a special flow of time that intertwined outside the stone door. It was the aura of the flow of time in the outside world. It was completely different from the flow of time in the space. Boom! The entire space suddenly shook, and the sky became as dark as ink in the blink of an eye. Bolts of thunder and lightning surged down. Chapter 2012. Three silhouettes suddenly appeared in time and space. They were like three real gods, and their auras were extremely terrifying. The celestial master of the celestial court, the celestial master, Lin Tian, could not help but tremble. It was not because he was afraid at this time, but because the aura of the three was too terrifying. It was as if they could swallow the universe, causing his body to instinctively tremble at this moment, and the muscles all over his body were in severe pain. The white tiger and little Taichu were the same. Facing the majestic aura of the three, they could not help but tremble. The aura of the three was as deep as the sea. They stood there like three black holes, as if they were going to swallow everything in the world. Your master and ancestors are not yet born, but you little things have been jumping up and down quite happily these years. A cold voice rang out in the sky. One of the three spoke, and his voice was like a divine bell that shook. Because of this voice, the void in time and space cracked inch by inch. Do you have the right to make my master step in? Fengshen Tianzun looked at the person who spoke and was very calm. The celestial master of the celestial court, who spoke, suddenly had a cold look in his eyes, as if his tail had been stepped on. Ants! As the cold voice was heard, this person immediately made his move. The celestial master's saint power surged, forming a saint-level palm print that directly grabbed at Fengshen Tianzun. At the same time, it also shrouded Celestial Lord Zhang Long and the others. This was a celestial master's move, and for a moment, it made time and space tremble violently. In the blink of an eye, the palm print directly pressed down on the heads of Fengshen Tianzun and the others. Lin Tian could not help but tremble. As the palm print pressed down, he felt as if a real piece of the sky was falling down. The white tiger and little Taichu were the same. Facing this celestial master's palm print, their spiritual souls could not help but tremble violently. It was also at this time that the Formation Emperor and Celestial Lord Zhang Long made their moves at the same time, each forming a seal. Suddenly, the saint formation that the two of them spent a year to engrave in the time and space moved. The dragon patterns of the formation resonated with each other and formed a shocking light wall, blocking the huge hand that was pressing down. This caused Lin Tian's expression to change. He was somewhat in disbelief. Although Celestial Venerable Zhang Long and the Array Emperor were very strong, they were only at the Dominator realm now. No matter how powerful the Holy Array was, it was impossible for it to block the attack of a transcending heaven-level powerhouse. However, he soon discovered an abnormality. It wasn't just the power of the Saint formation that blocked the heaven-reaching level palm print. Instead, it was the Saint formation that had activated the chaotic time force and space force in this space, blocking the terrifying palm print. Young man, work hard on your cultivation. In the future, we might be able to fight side by side. Fengshen Tianzun looked at Lin Tian and smiled faintly. At the same time, the Emperor of the Immortal Spirit Tribe looked at Lin Tian. Little guy, I'm counting on you. Then his gaze fell on little Taichu. He smiled and said, the next time we meet, it may be a long time. Father will miss you. Yeah. Little Taichu's eyes immediately widened. Lin Tian was also moved. Why did Fengshen Tianzun and the Emperor of the Immortal Spirit Tribe suddenly speak like this at this time? He looked at the two of them. Seniors, you buzz. Suddenly, the holy light surged and directly interrupted him. It enveloped him, little Taichu, and White Tiger together. The Array Emperor formed a seal, and a space portal appeared behind them. In the blink of an eye, they were swallowed into it. Then the space portal closed, and the three of them directly disappeared in the space. In the sky, the three heaven lords of the celestial court looked down at Fengshen Tianzun and the others with indifferent eyes. They were not too moved by the Array Emperor sending away Lin Tian, Little Taichu, and White Tiger. After all, a few saint-level cultivators were not even comparable to ants in their eyes. At this moment, they only cared about Fengshen Tianzuan and the others in this space-time. You are worthy of praise for being able to block my attack, but in the end, it won't change anything. The Heaven Lord who attacked before spoke again. An even stronger holy light surged and pressed down on Fengshen Tianzuan and the others. This space-time belongs to the Celestial Court. We'll take it back now. As for you, we will not kill you for the time being. With your status, you will be of great use. Boom! This person attacked for the second time. The power was many times stronger than before. Heaven and earth trembled. You think too much. In the face of this terrifying attack, Fengshen Tianzuan was still very calm. The Array Emperor and Celestial Lord Zonglong attacked. Endless array patterns and dragon patterns combined to create a resplendent light wall that blocked the attack. At the same time, the space-time trembled violently. Time and space became incomparably chaotic. Many places collapsed inch by inch, and a terrifying aura of destruction interweaved. The Celestial Court Lord who attacked was immediately moved because his second attack had been blocked. More importantly, he discovered that this space-time was beginning to collapse and self-destruct. What did you do? Destroy this space-time? This person's eyes became cold and murderous. At the same time, the other two Heaven Lords beside him were the same. They discovered the space-time and had great expectations for it. But they did not expect that this space-time would begin to collapse and collapse at this time. It was already impossible to protect it. Cracking sounds continued. The space-time collapse became even more severe. Large cracks appeared in the void. Chaotic time vortexes and space-time vortexes appeared in many places, intertwining with a terrifying aura of destruction that seemed to be able to devour everything. The Array Emperor and Celestial Lord Zonglong worked together to engrave the sacred array that bloomed with divine light, protecting Fengshen Tianzuan and the others. Let me take you to a wonderful place, Fengshen Tianzuan said calmly. Next to him, the Emperor of Fairy Spirit, Wu Ming, and the others were also very calm. The Array Emperor and Celestial Lord Zonglong attacked at the same time. They formed seals at a speed that was difficult to be seen with the naked eye, causing the sacred array to burst with a towering divine light that enveloped everything in this place. The dazzling divine light shrouded their group and the three Heaven Ascension Realm Lords of the Celestial Court. In the blink of an eye, they all disappeared from this place. The next moment, dazzling divine light bloomed in another place. The Array Emperor, Celestial Lord Zonglong, and the others appeared. The sacred array moved with them. At the same time, the three Heaven Lords of the Celestial Court were also brought along and appeared here. As far as the eye could see, this place was extremely dark. Gravel was everywhere, but they were all floating in the air. It was as if there was no gravity here. More importantly, there were corpses and remains everywhere. The turbulent death aura seemed to be able to annihilate everything. This place, the three Heaven Lords of the Celestial Court immediately changed. Are you crazy? How dare you come here? How many times have you slaughtered all living things? Do you still remember? Fengshen Tianzuan said calmly. This place is the last battlefield of great devastation. After countless years of evolution, it has become a synonym for death. It annihilates everything, and only death is allowed to exist. However, life and death have been interdependent since ancient times. If there is death, there will naturally be life. The life here is difficult to manifest, but death is not enough. If Heaven Ascension stage experts like you all die here, perhaps life can manifest. The three Heaven Lords of the Celestial Court were furious. How dare a few ants have such an idea? They could tell that Fengshen Tianzuan had brought them here to kill them here. After their deaths, the death aura here would continue to strengthen the death aura here, causing it to reach a peak. Then, it would trigger a special mutation, drawing out the invisible life force that existed in this land of death. He wanted to absorb that life force. Let's not talk about whether or not this land of death has that kind of life force. Do you think you can kill us with just you few ants? What a joke! The other two Heaven Lords spoke. Heaven Ascension stage, Saint energy, shook violently, surging violently. At the same time, they released their Heaven Ascension stage divine senses to search the surroundings, looking for a way out of this place. They knew how terrifying this place was. If they stayed here for too long, they would gradually be assimilated by the death aura here. In the end, their spirit and consciousness would melt, turning into a soulless, empty shell. Even Heaven Ascension stage experts could not avoid this. We are only guessing that there is that kind of life force here, so we are taking a gamble. If we win, we will advance to a higher level. If we lose, we will die here. Fengshen Tianzun said calmly. As for whether we can kill you, there is no need to doubt. Since we dared to bring you here, we naturally have the means to kill you. We will not disappoint you. As his words fell, a golden needle flew out from his sleeve, quickly piercing into his body. Then, it rushed out of his body, piercing into the bodies of the Emperor of Immortal Spirit, Celestial Venerable Zonglong, Nameless, and the others. Instantly, the group's aura skyrocketed, reaching a terrifying height in the blink of an eye. Death Return Needle? The three heavenly masters were shocked and furious. Fengshen Tianzun closed his eyes, as if reminiscing. Burying everything in one's body, burning everything in one's body, connecting with the outside world's Tao and Qi, increasing one's endless combat power, all for less than 1/10,000th chance of survival. This needle carries Junior Brother's hatred, pain, and unyielding spirit. We will gamble with it. He opened his eyes again, no longer as calm as before. His eyes had become incomparably cold. Kill! Boom! Overflowing holy light surged, and the 11 moved at the same time. Under the corrosion of the endless death aura, they charged toward the three heavenly masters. Void celestial realm, in an unknown place. There were many green mountains, but they were not majestic and tall. Comparatively, they were more ordinary. Ka! At this moment, the void here suddenly split open, and the figures of Lin Tian, the white tiger, and the little Taichu fell out. After falling out of the void, the man and the two beasts stepped on the solid ground again. Lin Tian glanced around and immediately found the existence of array patterns nearby. Was it carved by the Array Emperor? When he said that the outside world was ready, was this it? Did they plan from the very beginning to teleport us directly from that space to here? He was moved. It seems to be so, the white tiger said, and then it was puzzled. But why didn't they teleport here together? If they teleported here together, they could directly avoid the three heavenly masters, but they only teleported us here to continue to face the three heavenly masters. Could it be that there is something else to... Boom! Suddenly, the sky shook and thunder roared, directly interrupting its words. Chapter 2013. A huge thunderbolt vortex stretched across the sky. Black lightning raged, and the whole world seemed to be about to explode. In the blink of an eye, the green mountains were shrouded in a terrifying, destructive aura. The white tiger and the little Taichu both trembled violently, and their expressions changed drastically. The lightning raging in the sky was too terrifying. The destructive aura was so strong that it was frightening. It seemed to want to swallow everything, and the whole world was shaking. Lin Tian was even more shocked. Naturally, he instantly recognized that this was his heavenly tribulation thunder punishment. The heavenly tribulation didn't disappear because I stepped into the saint realm. Instead, that space-time isolated the aura of the outside world. When I advanced in that space-time, the heavenly tribulation didn't come down. Now that I walked out of that space-time and was sensed by the Tao of the outside world, the heavenly tribulation that hadn't come down before appeared at this time. He thought of many things at once. Boom! The sky trembled and thunder rumbled. The world became even darker as black lightning rampaged in the sky. Before it could truly descend, it had already shattered expanse after expanse of space. Even the mountains here collapsed one after another. Boy, hurry up and find a place where there are absolutely few people to go through the heavenly tribulation. This place is not suitable for it, the white tiger said anxiously. Although this place was a little remote, it wasn't very remote. Not far from here, there would definitely be other cultivators and creatures. If he went through the heavenly tribulation here, he would definitely be discovered by others. At that time, a saint-level expert could still trigger the heavenly tribulation. It would definitely cause a commotion, and it might cause a lot of trouble. Impossible, it can't stop. Lin Tian shook his head and said, "You and the little guy, leave this place immediately." In the past, he could temporarily withdraw from the heavenly tribulation that he had triggered when he stepped into a major realm, causing the heavenly tribulation to disappear temporarily. He could then trigger it again later on, but now he obviously couldn't do so. It was because he had stepped into the secondary saint realm from the God Emperor realm, and then stepped into the ninth heaven of the saint realm from the secondary saint realm. Under such circumstances, how could he withdraw? There was no room for retreat at all. The heavenly tribulation couldn't be stopped no matter what. Moreover, at this moment, he felt a great threat. Perhaps it was because he had not triggered any heavenly tribulations after breaking through two great realms in a row. At this moment, the two heavenly tribulations pressed down together as if they had fused together, producing some kind of drastic change. The aura caused him to shiver at this moment. Even with the protection of the reincarnation forging spirit technique, he was not 100% sure that he could survive this heavenly tribulation. His spirit was trembling violently, and he felt intense pain. The most obvious and direct observation of this drastic change was that the lightning of the previous heavenly tribulation was red. However, the lightning of this heavenly punishment had turned black. It was obviously more terrifying than the red lightning. Boom! The blue dome of heaven shook violently once again as another clap of thunder resounded. There was a black light recklessly streaking across the dusky heaven and earth, causing people to be horrified. "Let's go!" Lin Tian shouted. He could feel that the destructive lightning punishment was about to descend. The white tiger and the little Taichu were in the middle of it and would definitely be implicated. "Be careful." "Yeah." The white tiger spoke, and so did the little Taichu. Naturally, they knew what the situation was at this time. Not only would they be in danger if they stayed here, but they would also affect Lin Tian's tribulation. Therefore, they immediately moved away as fast as they could. Only 10 days had passed in the outside world since they first entered the space-time space. However, they had spent 10,000 years in the space-time space and cultivated for 10,000 years. After cultivating for 10,000 years in the space-time space, they were now in the Saint Realm. At this time, their speed was naturally very fast. In the blink of an eye, they had moved extremely far away. It was also at this time that the blue dome of heaven shook again with a rumble. A dazzling black beam of light pressed straight down. This was a special heavenly punishment that combined the quasi-saint tribulation and saint tribulation into one. The first round of lightning punishment struck down with terrifying, destructive power, as if it was a strike that could destroy the world. A large area of the void was directly annihilated. Before the black beam of light had truly pressed down, the ground under Lin Tian's feet instantly collapsed and sank by several feet. Lin Tian did not have the slightest bit of carelessness. He fully displayed his current cultivation of the ninth saint realm and waved his Chaos Emperor fist to meet the attack. His fist was wrapped in saint-level saint power. In the blink of an eye, it collided with the black beam of light that struck down. It directly caused the nearby void to collapse and become even more dilapidated. Waves of destructive airflow swept out in all directions. Then, after a few breaths, the black beam of light was shattered by him. At the same time, blood flowed out from the tip of his fist. It was injured by the black beam of light, revealing the eerie white finger bones. Moreover, a terrifying force entered his body through the wound at the tip of his fist, wantonly destroying his body as if it wanted to collapse from the inside. This caused his heart to tremble. This special heavenly punishment that combined the quasi-saint's tribulation and saint's tribulation was indeed too strong, as he had sensed. This was merely the first round of the main lightning punishment, and it actually injured him. Moreover, the remnant might of the lightning actually entered his body through his wounds and continued to wreak havoc in his body, wreaking havoc in a frenzy. He gritted his teeth and activated the reincarnation spiritual forging technique. In an instant, his combat strength was multiplied tenfold. Then, the 5 heaven-shaking lightning incantation was activated as well. With the tenfold combat strength, he directly crushed the destructive lightning that entered his body. Boom! Almost at the same time, the sky shook violently. The second round of lightning punishment emerged. A black lightning river appeared, intertwined with traces of blood. It was as if the Milky Way was pressing down from the sky, wanting to destroy everything. The billowing destructive aura caused the world to tremble violently. It was unknown how many times stronger it was than the first round of lightning punishment. It shattered pieces of space and spread out in all directions, causing the living beings within a radius of tens of millions of miles to tremble violently. This aura is a heavenly tribulation? Someone is crossing the immortal ascension tribulation? How can a heavenly tribulation of the immortal ascension realm have such a terrifying, destructive aura? Some cultivators sensed the destructive aura that carried the unique fluctuations of a heavenly tribulation. They were all shocked. Let's go and take a look. Someone spoke. Many cultivators rushed in the direction of the destructive aura of lightning. Boom! Heavenly thunder rumbled. In the sky where Lin Tian was, the black lightning was even more wantonly. It was extremely terrifying. The second round of lightning punishment that emerged from this special heavenly tribulation pressed down directly at this moment. The black lightning river was mixed with traces of blood. Wherever it passed, everything disintegrated. Everything began to collapse and be destroyed. Chapter 2014. The Fist Radiance was dazzling. With his tenfold combat strength and the Chaos Emperor Fist, the surging fist power shook the heavens and the earth. With a sizzling sound, the black lightning river that fell from the sky was instantly shattered. After all, although this round of the main lightning punishment was terrifying, Lin Tian's Chaos Emperor Fist was also extremely powerful with his tenfold combat strength. It was naturally not difficult for him to shatter the second round of the main lightning punishment. Boom! In the sky, thunder rumbled and black lightning rampaged. With a sizzling sound, it shattered the space. As the second round of the main lightning punishment was shattered by Lin Tian, the third round of the main lightning punishment appeared in the blink of an eye. It was a black lightning rain. Within it, every bolt of lightning contained terrifying, destructive power. It was enough to easily shatter a saint-level cultivator. Lin Tian was fearless. With tenfold combat strength, he activated the Chaos Emperor Fist and met it again. With a sizzle, the third round of the main lightning punishment was still unable to do anything to him. It was easily shattered by him. Boom! Thunder rumbled and rumbled continuously. Round after round of the main lightning punishment continued to strike. In the blink of an eye, 9 rounds of the main lightning punishment had struck down. The 9 rounds of the main lightning punishment were all shattered by Lin Tian. Then at this moment, the 10th round of the main lightning punishment pressed down. This was a sea of lightning. The black lightning was like a vast ocean. The waves were monstrous. One could even vaguely hear the sound of the waves crashing down from the sky. In an instant, the ground beneath Lin Tian's feet collapsed again. It sank a few feet deeper. Facing the 10th round of the main lightning punishment, Lin Tian's eyes intertwined with sacred light. He activated the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique. Strands of black lightning arcs intertwined on the surface of his body. They turned into a black lightning beam and shot straight into the sky. The black lightning was a sign that the 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation had reached the 5th level. After spending 10,000 years in space-time and cultivating for 10,000 years, his cultivation had reached the 9th heaven of the Saint Realm. Naturally, He had cultivated the 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation to the last level. Sizzle. The aura of the black lightning beam was ferocious and domineering. It had the power to weaken the lightning punishment of the heavenly tribulation. In the blink of an eye, it shattered the 10th round of lightning punishment. Lin Tian was at the center of Tianfa. The black lightning produced by the 5 heaven-shaking lightning spell circled around his body. The reincarnation forging spirit technique circulated, increasing his battle strength tenfold. Then, his saint domain was also supported by him. Inside, there were many mountains and rivers. Then, in the next moment, the 11th round of punishment appeared. Its aura was terrifying as it pressed down. Immediately after, the sound of thunder exploded, and round after round of main lightning punishment struck down one after another. In this place, the void was collapsing because of this heavenly punishment, and the earth was sinking because of this heavenly punishment. The surrounding green mountains had completely collapsed, and the territory was in ruins. Under such heavenly punishment, Lin Tian propped up his saint domain, channeling the reincarnation forging divine art and the 5 lightning heaven suppression art at the same time. Then, he also propped up the divine Tao of lightning and the divine Tao of nature to resist the heavenly punishment. In the blink of an eye, a total of 36 rounds of main lightning punishment struck down, and they were all shattered by Lin Tian one after another. However, the heavenly punishment still continued. With a rumble, the 37th round of main lightning punishment pressed down. Black lightning stars trembled, and it was extremely terrifying. Lin Tian's expression was heavy. Ever since he reached the airborne realm, he had been going through heavenly punishment. Along the way, he had gone through more than 20 heavenly punishments, but there had never been a single heavenly punishment with more than 37 rounds of main lightning punishment. At the same time, in the distance, the white tiger and the little Taichu were also shocked. It's been 37 rounds. Why is it still not stopping? The white tiger was anxious. Yeah. The little Taichu was also very worried. At this time, the heavenly punishment continued to strike down 37 rounds of main lightning punishment. Just watching from afar made their souls tremble. They could clearly feel that the heavenly punishment at this moment had become even more terrifying. As the main lightning punishment of the heavenly punishment continued to strike down, they were all anxious, worried about whether Lin Tian would be able to survive. It was also at this time that swishing sounds rang out. In a place further away, one figure after another appeared. Because of the terrifying aura of this heavenly tribulation, they had rushed over from afar. Then, all of them saw the rolling thunder in the sky of this place. It's really a heavenly punishment. This level of heavenly punishment, These cultivators came here and looked at the rolling thunder in the sky. All of them were shocked. The destructive aura of this heavenly punishment was really too strong. It was as if it was going to destroy the heavens. Even some of the quasi-saints among them were horrified. Then, these cultivators naturally saw Lin Tian at the center of the heavenly punishment, and they were shocked again. He's going through the heavenly punishment. He's the one who's going through the heavenly punishment. He's the one who attracted the heavenly punishment. He clearly has the saint's aura outside his body. He's a saint. A saint attracted the heavenly punishment? How can this be? How is this possible? These cultivators were all in disbelief. Since ancient times, cultivators would only attract the lightning punishment of heavenly punishment when they stepped into the immortal realm. But now, a saint had actually attracted the heavenly punishment and was undergoing the heavenly punishment here. Wait, this person, isn't he the person that the Celestial Court was pursuing some time ago? That's right. I think it's that person. He killed a Celestial Court expert and is related to a criminal wanted by the Celestial Court. He's wanted by the Celestial Court himself, and now he attracted the heavenly punishment as a saint. Who exactly is he? The Celestial Court's pursuit of Lin Tian was no secret. At this time, at this place, many people recognized Lin Tian. Seeing that Lin Tian was undergoing the heavenly punishment as a saint here, they were even more shocked. Gradually, more and more cultivators gathered here. Seeing this scene, All of them were shocked. Little Taichu and White Tiger saw the arrival of these cultivators, but there was nothing they could do. They could only watch Lin Tian undergo the heavenly punishment. Please don't let anything go wrong. The White Tiger had a praying look on its face, hoping that Lin Tian would be able to survive this heavenly tribulation safely. It hoped that other cultivators would not find out that Lin Tian had attracted the heavenly tribulation with his saint-level cultivation. Boom! The heavens shook and thunder rumbled. Round after round of the main lightning punishment struck down, and the destructive aura became stronger and stronger. Lin Tian was in the center of the heavenly punishment. He was focused on overcoming the heavenly punishment. Reincarnation forging spiritual skill, 5 Thunder Heaven Suppression Technique, Saint Region, Nature Divine Path, and Thunder Divine Path were all used together. In the blink of an eye, 55 rounds of the main lightning punishment had struck down, and almost half of his saint power had been consumed. At this time, the destructive power of the lightning punishment had become many times stronger. His physical body had been shaken into many bloody wounds. The threat of death gradually emerged, and his face became extremely grave. Boom! Chapter 2015. The 56th round of the main lightning punishment was extremely terrifying. When it landed on Lin Tian's body, a blinding light immediately flooded the surroundings. This time, Lin Tian couldn't block it. With a poof, his 9th Heaven Sage body was directly split into pieces. Blood splattered all over the sky. It was a ghastly sight. Kids! In the distance, the White Tiger and Little Taichu's expressions changed. The White Tiger couldn't help but cry out. At the same time, the other cultivators who had come to this place trembled. They weren't worried for Lin Tian, but they were shocked to see Lin Tian suddenly being split into pieces after going through dozens of rounds of the main lightning punishment. That feeling was exactly the same as when a mortal was walking in the dark night and suddenly saw a fierce ghost with a bloody face. He's already gone through dozens of rounds of the main lightning punishment. Is this a heavenly tribulation? Heavenly tribulation. Isn't 9 the limit, and only 9 rounds of the main lightning punishment? These cultivators were shocked and puzzled. According to ancient records, heavenly tribulation could only be triggered when a cultivator reached the immortal realm. Moreover, it was always 9 as the limit. But now, these cultivators were stunned. It was already shocking enough for a saint-level cultivator to trigger a heavenly tribulation. But unexpectedly, the heavenly tribulation he triggered still showed no signs of stopping after dozens of rounds of the main lightning punishment. Boom! The sky shook violently, and thunder exploded. A pitch-black lightning vortex appeared, as if it was going to swallow everything. Lin Tian's saint-level body collapsed. The broken pieces of flesh and the blood that splashed out quickly gathered together, and blood-red flames curled up. The sun's nirvana technique operated on its own, causing his physical body to reform in the blink of an eye. After reforming his physical body, he looked at the sky with a solemn expression. The heavenly tribulation that fused the 2 great realms, Quasi-Sage and Saint-Sage, was truly too terrifying. Even with the help of the reincarnation forging spirit technique that Wu Yi had created for him, it was incomparably difficult for him to hold on at this moment. At this moment, his entire body was in intense pain. Most importantly, as the one undergoing the tribulation, he could sense the heavenly tribulation to a certain extent. He could feel that this heavenly tribulation was far from over. There were at least a dozen more rounds of the main lightning punishment, and the following main lightning punishments would definitely be more terrifying than the previous one. At this moment, he had no confidence that he could survive this lightning punishment. Is that the only way? Under the sea of lightning, he glanced at the group of cultivators nearby and couldn't help but clench his fists tightly. Donk! Dazzling lightning radiance manifested, and another thunderbolt exploded. Within the pitch-black thunderbolt vortex, the 57th round of the main thunderbolt punishment appeared. It was one thunderbolt mountain after another, completely condensed from black thunderbolts, and its aura was terrifying. Following the appearance of the main lightning punishment, before it could even descend, Lin Tian trembled violently, and cracks appeared on his body. At the same time, the other cultivators nearby were horrified, and all of them trembled violently. "Retreat! Retreat further away!" Someone shouted and quickly retreated. Most of the cultivators who came to this place were below the quasi-sage realm. At this time, although they were very far from the center of the heavenly tribulation and couldn't be struck by the main lightning punishment, just the destructive aura of the 57th round of the main lightning punishment made these cultivators fearful. They felt like their bodies were about to shatter, and they didn't dare to continue staying in the same place. They all retreated further away. It was also at this time that the 57th round of the main lightning punishment directly struck down with a rumble. The black thunderbolts were connected one after another, as if they were going to crush the heavens. Lin Tian clenched his fists, gritted his teeth, and circulated the Sun Heart Sutra to the limit. The reincarnation forging spiritual technique, 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique, sacred domain, nature divine Tao, lightning divine Tao, and other techniques and Taos that were useful for him to overcome the heavenly tribulation were all activated. His entire body erupted with dazzling holy light, and he faced the 57th round of the main lightning punishment that was pressing down. In the blink of an eye, the 57th round of the main lightning punishment struck and directly collided with him. The space in all directions instantly collapsed. At the center of the heavenly tribulation, the destructive aura surged like the Milky Way. Poof! Lin Tian was struck into pieces again. Bright red blood splattered everywhere, and shredded flesh and shattered bones were scattered in the void above. It was a ghastly sight. However, his spirit was incomparably tough and indestructible. The Sun Nirvana technique was activated, and blood-red flames leaped. Soon his physical body was reformed again. He was panting slightly, and his face had already become very pale. He had suffered very serious injuries. However, the heavenly tribulation didn't give him a chance to catch his breath. The 58th round of the main lightning punishment appeared and instantly pressed down. Then, the rumbling sound of thunder became louder and louder. The 59th round of the main lightning punishment, the 60th round of the main lightning punishment, and the 61st round of the main lightning punishment appeared one after another. They pressed down mightily, and everywhere they passed, everything was destroyed. Lin Tian gritted his teeth and supported all his techniques to resist with all his might. Poof! 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 Bright red blood splattered everywhere. Under the combination of the heavenly tribulation of the quasi-saint tribulation and the saint tribulation, the destructive power of the lightning punishment had reached a point where it was difficult for him to resist. At this time, within the main lightning punishment, someone as powerful as him was shattered again and again. Blood continued to splatter everywhere, and his essence, chi, and spirit quickly weakened to the bottom. There's no hope. Such a heavenly tribulation. It's impossible for him to survive. He can't stop it. Far away, a group of cultivators was horrified by the aura of the heavenly tribulation at this time. At the same time, many people shook their heads. Looking at the scene in front of them, they had already seen the clues. Lin Tian was beginning to lose the ability to resist, and his life force was weakening. Even if he can't survive it, he's destined to be famous in the world. A saint can actually attract a heavenly tribulation, someone said. Rumble! Thunder rumbled, and black lightning kept falling. Brat, hang in there. You're Lin Tian. A mere heavenly tribulation, lightning punishment won't be difficult for you. Shatter it like before. Shatter it? Yeah, yeah. In the distance, the white tiger couldn't help but shout. Little Taichu also spoke. Seeing Lin Tianyi being chopped into pieces again and again, feeling that Lin Tian's essence, chi, and spirit were constantly weakening, and the heavenly tribulation still showed no signs of stopping. They were extremely anxious. In the center of the heavenly tribulation, blood-red flames jumped. The broken pieces of flesh and bones gathered together, and Lin Tian once again reformed his physical body. His face was extremely pale, and his aura was extremely weak. His body was trembling uncontrollably, and he almost didn't even have the strength to stand up. Dong! Thunder exploded, shaking all directions. The 60-second round of the main lightning punishment appeared. It was a black lightning palace, and the destructive power was much more terrifying than the previous rounds of the main lightning punishments. As this round of the main lightning punishment appeared, the space in all directions trembled violently in an instant, and the entire world seemed to be about to collapse. Lin Tian trembled violently. This round of the main lightning punishment hadn't been suppressed yet, but it made his spirit feel intense pain, and blood flowed out of his mouth. "Brat, shatter it! Shatter it!" In the distance, the white tiger shouted. Seeing Lin Tian's body trembling under the heavenly tribulation, it was really afraid that Lin Tian wouldn't be able to withstand it. "Yeah, Lin Tian!" Little Taichu was also anxious and shouted from afar. Lin Tian could hear their voices and hear their worry. He closed his eyes slightly and then opened them again. "I can only use that method," he muttered to himself, looking at the rolling thunder in the sky. His eyes suddenly became very sharp, and his black hair moved without wind. The next moment, he formed a seal with one hand, and his body trembled slightly. Chapter 2016. Lin Tian's black hair fluttered and danced wildly. Being in the center of the heavenly tribulation, his aura began to recover rapidly. On the surface of his body, the black lightning intertwined with the 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation suddenly became violent. The crackling sound was extremely ear-piercing, and it shook the already dilapidated void in the vicinity, causing it to become even more dilapidated and collapse inch by inch. His aura is recovering? Is he becoming stronger? What's going on? Why did he suddenly... In the distance, the group of cultivators were all shocked. Lin Tian's aura had clearly weakened to the point where it seemed as if he had lost the ability to resist and could not even stand properly. However, at this time his aura suddenly began to recover. Moreover, they clearly did not see Lin Tian use any divine pills or miraculous medicine. At the same time, the white tiger and little Taichu were also shocked and then revealed looks of joy. "Good, good." The white tiger clenched its claws. Squeak! The little Taichu also made a sound. They also did not understand why Lin Tian's essence, energy, and spirit suddenly rose sharply at this time. However, they were naturally happy that Lin Tian's aura was improving. Boom! Thunder roared, and a pitch-black lightning vortex stretched across the sky. The 60-second round of the main lightning punishment did not immediately descend. It continued to brew in the lightning vortex, and the destructive aura became stronger and stronger. The entire sky seemed to be about to collapse. Lin Tian was in the center of the heavenly tribulation. His eyes were sharp and indifferent as he looked at the increasingly terrifying lightning in the sky. His black hair danced wildly in the wind, and the aura on his body grew stronger at a rapid pace. The surrounding space became even more chaotic and collapsed even more violently because of the rapidly increasing aura on his body. "Let's see what you can do to me." His voice was cold. He had the reincarnation constitution, the strongest constitution, and the strongest bloodline in the world. In order to prevent his constitution from being exposed again, and to prevent people other than his family and friends from finding out, he had sealed his reincarnation constitution to a certain extent. After that, whether it was people above the heavenly venerable level or special dead people, no one could see through his reincarnation constitution. Even if someone used their spirit to enter his life essence, they would not be able to tell that he was a reincarnated body if they did not carefully investigate. It was precisely because of this method that the evil blood ancestor was unable to tell that he was a reincarnated body when he used his spirit to enter his life essence in the extreme Yin Hall. However, although this method was very ingenious and could prevent others from seeing through his constitution, it had a certain flaw. That was because his life essence was sealed and suppressed. His battle prowess could not truly be unleashed to its peak. In the past few years, he had never truly unleashed his peak potential, truly unleashing his greatest battle prowess. Once he truly unleashed his peak potential and unleashed his greatest battle prowess, his constitution would immediately be exposed. Before this, he had encountered many dangers. These dangers were either not something that could be dealt with by unsealing his life essence or could be avoided. There was no need to unseal his life essence. Therefore, ever since he sealed his life essence, he had never unsealed it even though he had encountered danger time and time again. But now, he had unsealed his life essence here. This was because at this time, under the heavenly tribulation, unsealing the origin was useful and necessary for him. If he unsealed his life essence now and used the reincarnation forging mind technique that Wu Yi had created for him, he was confident that he could survive this heavenly tribulation in one piece. However, if he did not unseal his life essence, he was certain that he would not be able to escape death. At the same time, he also knew that there were many cultivators surrounding this place and watching him undergo the tribulation from afar. Once his quintessence was completely unsealed, these people would instantly see through his reincarnation physique, and it would definitely cause great trouble in the future. However, at this moment, he could no longer care about that because if he didn't unseal his quintessence at this moment, he would definitely not be able to survive. If he was about to die, then what was the point of worrying about that? Boom! His source was unsealing bit by bit, his aura rapidly rising. It was as if a volcano that had been dormant for endless years was erupting, as if a matchless demonic sovereign was awakening. In this place, the surrounding space began to tremble even more intensely. In the blink of an eye, his aura recovered and his injuries healed. Moreover, his vitality continued to rise. Then, in a short span of 3 breaths, his essence, qi, and soul climbed to an extremely shocking level. It was also at this moment that the reincarnation origin that he had used a special method to seal was completely unsealed. Roar! At that moment, divine light surged around him. Vaguely, the roars of gods and demons rang out from his body, shaking up the entire world. A golden pillar of saint force radiated out from him. It surged violently and pierced into the sky. Sizzle! The 60-second lightning tribulation that was still brewing in the sky was forcefully pulverized by the divine light. The pitch-black lightning vortex could not help but tremble. The surrounding space constantly twisted. At the same time, the cultivators who resided extremely far away all trembled as their expressions changed drastically. He. The cultivators all trembled. All the cultivators there shuddered. At that very moment, the rolling lightning bolts up in the sky suddenly disappeared from their eyes. It was as though they could no longer sense the terrifying aura of devastation from the heavenly tribulation up in the sky. All of their gazes fell upon Lin Tian. Looking at Lin Tian, the cultivators all trembled. Their faces were filled with horror and disbelief. Reincarnation body? He's a reincarnation body, a saint-level powerhouse said in a trembling voice. His body was also trembling. His eyes could not help but flicker. Even his hands were trembling. In the legends, the strongest physique and the strongest bloodline. He's actually, the cultivators were all stunned. They were almost stunned. Even some of the saint-level powerhouses were no exception. What did they see? In this place, Lin Tian, who had attracted the heavenly tribulation with his saint-level cultivation, was actually a reincarnation body. It was the legendary strongest physique that had never appeared before. It could suppress all king physiques and all bloodlines in the world. At the same time, the white tiger and little Taichu's expressions also changed. It was not because of Lin Tian's reincarnation body. They both knew that Lin Tian was a reincarnation body. The reason for their expressions was that Lin Tian had exposed his reincarnation physique at this moment. If they could see through it now, so could the others. They would definitely be in big trouble in the future. How did this happen? The white tiger clenched its claws. Lin Tian was at the center of the heavenly tribulation. Holy light surged around his body. As his reincarnation origin was completely unsealed, coupled with the reincarnation forging spiritual art, his essence, qi, and spirit were many times stronger than before. Black lightning circled around his body, crackling as it exploded. He was like a thunder god that could destroy the world. Dong! Chapter 2017. The 63rd round of the main lightning punishment fell, and the sky became even darker. Boundless lightning spread, and it was extremely terrifying. The sky seemed to be collapsing, and the aura of destruction surged. It was terrifying. Lin Tian was in the center of the heavenly tribulation, and black electric arcs surrounded his body. His aura was terrifyingly strong, and he directly waved his emperor fist. With a boom, a dazzling fist light shot out from the tip of his fist, and in the blink of an eye, it entered the sky and collided with the 63rd round of the main lightning punishment that was descending. Chi! With a soft sound, the 63rd round of the main lightning punishment shattered immediately. Such a scene caused many of the surrounding cultivators to be horrified. Previously, Lin Tian's tribulation had clearly been so difficult, but now, when he faced this even more terrifying 63rd round of tribulation lightning, he directly shattered it with a single punch. This is the true combat power of a reincarnated being. This is simply, many people trembled, and they were still shocked by the fact that Lin Tian was a reincarnated being. At the same time, they were also shocked by this scene. Boom! The lightning did not stop, and it became even more violent. The pitch-black lightning vortex was horizontal in the sky, and the black lightning was rampant inside, and the aura became even more terrifying. Again, Lin Tian stood under the heavenly tribulation, and his eyes were sharp. The black hair in front of his forehead danced, and he looked like an immortal, peerless god of war. Dong! As soon as he finished speaking, the sky immediately exploded, and the 64th round of the main lightning punishment appeared. Then, the 65th, 66th, and 67th rounds of the main lightning punishment appeared together and pressed down one after another. For a moment, the space in this place was even more severely damaged, and the territory sank again because of this aura. Lin Tian's eyes were cold. After his origin was unsealed, he could truly unleash his peak combat power, and he was not afraid of the descending heavenly punishment. Buzz! The reincarnation diagram rushed up from behind him, and it was mixed with vastness, holiness, and pressure. It turned into a ray of light that rushed towards the sky. This was his king's region, and it was extremely powerful. In addition, he had unsealed his origin at this moment, and coupled with the reincarnation's spiritual forging technique, the power of the king's region was extremely terrifying. In an instant, it crushed the 64th round of the main lightning punishment that was pressing down. Immediately afterwards, Wang Yu continued to move towards the sky and crushed the 65th, 66th, and 67th rounds of the main thunder punishment. Chi! 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 3 soft sounds rang out. The 65th, 66th, and 67th main lightning punishments all shattered in the blink of an eye. After that, Wang Yu didn't stop. Instead, he interweaved with monstrous saint energy and pressed it towards the thunderbolt vortex in the sky. In the blink of an eye, the reincarnation diagram rushed into the lightning vortex and exploded in the lightning vortex, causing the lightning vortex to tremble violently. The bomb was directly destroyed. Dong! A deafening roar came from the lightning vortex, and there seemed to be an invisible and terrifying existence inside. At this moment, it was furious that Lin Tian couldn't die after being struck for a long time. The 68th round of the main lightning punishment appeared, and a total of 9 layers of lightning condensed together. Each layer was interweaved with an extremely terrifying aura, as if it was going to destroy everything. A violent gust of wind swept up one after another, and it was also mixed with a shocking destructive power. It shattered pieces of space one after another. The speed at which the void was reorganized could no longer keep up with the speed of the shattering, and the spatial turbulence spread out wantonly. Lin Tian raised his hand, and the reincarnation spiritual forging technique was stacked 10 times his combat power. The reincarnation diagram of the king's region was once again supported. Moreover, the nameless Tao Law, thunder divine Tao, and nature divine Tao also emerged together and overlapped with each other, turning into his most powerful divine Tao reincarnation diagram. As soon as the reincarnation diagram of the divine Tao was released, the reincarnation origin was completely unsealed, and the battle power was stacked 10 times. With his cultivation at the ninth heaven of the Saint Realm, the power was so powerful that even heaven and earth trembled. Chi! Before the 68th round of the main lightning punishment could truly descend, it was directly shattered by the reincarnation diagram of the divine Tao. Lin Tian's gaze was sharp as he stared at the pitch-black lightning vortex in the sky. He took a step forward and turned into a ray of light that rushed into the sky. Holding the reincarnation diagram of the divine Tao, he directly pressed against the lightning vortex. Moreover, the 5 lightning divine domain of the 5 lightning heaven-shaking technique was also opened by him. The black 5 lightning divine technique rose against the sky and pressed against the heavenly tribulation vortex together with the reincarnation diagram of the divine Tao. Such a scene caused the nearby cultivators to be shocked again. Many of them couldn't help but tremble. Since ancient times, cultivators have been forced to shatter the main lightning punishment that descended from the heavenly tribulation again and again. But now, Lin Tian actually went against the sky and attacked the lightning vortex of the heavenly tribulation with a divine technique. This was a little crazy. It was also at this moment that Lin Tian rushed into the lightning vortex. The 5 lightning divine technique and the reincarnation diagram of the divine Tao clashed in the lightning vortex, releasing wave after wave of terrifying saint aura. The black lightning that belonged to the 5 lightning heaven-shaking technique that surrounded his body collided with the black lightning of the heavenly tribulation. The two of them sizzled and shattered each other, shaking the sky. Boom! Explosions rumbled in the lightning vortex. The main lightning punishments constantly appeared, each one more terrifying than the last. Lin Tian was surrounded by black lightning. He propped up the reincarnation diagram of the divine Tao and channeled the reincarnation forging spiritual technique. He charged into the lightning vortex that constantly appeared with the main lightning punishments, shattering them one after another. He even rushed into the depths of the lightning vortex, bombarding it with terrifying fists. The lightning vortex constantly trembled and cracks appeared one after another. In the blink of an eye, he charged into the lightning vortex. He was like a god of destruction fighting. He endured the main lightning punishments one after another until he reached the 80th main lightning punishment. The destructive aura became even more terrifying, as if it wanted to devour the entire world. However, Lin Tian had completely unsealed the origin of samsara. Coupled with the reincarnation forging spiritual technique that Wu Yi had created for him, his battle prowess was just too great. With so many techniques, the terrifying 80th main lightning punishment was still useless against him. It was shattered in the blink of an eye. The last round. Come. He was in the lightning vortex, surrounded by lightning. His voice was cold, intertwined with a domineering aura that looked down on the world. He could feel that this special heavenly tribulation was only left with the last round of the main lightning punishment. If he could endure it, he would have passed. Boom! Almost as soon as he finished speaking, the firmament exploded, and the loudest and most terrifying sound of thunder rang out. Within the lightning vortex, numerous phantoms appeared. There were angels with broken wings, headless knights, immortals with broken arms, ferocious ghosts, ferocious savage beasts, and blind blood shadows. All of them were condensed from lightning, and they were intertwined with an extremely terrifying aura of destruction. The moment they appeared, they caused this place to shake violently, and the heavens and earth seemed to be on the verge of disintegrating. Facing this dense, lightning shadow, Lin Tian once again felt a sense of threat, and a deathly pressure appeared. However, his expression did not change at all. With a thought, he directly channeled the Sun Heart Sutra to the limit. At the same time, he shook the origin of samsara, causing its aura to rise wildly. The origin of samsara in his body boiled like a torrent. The light of reincarnation origin rushed out of his body and surrounded him, exuding an extremely vast aura. Chapter 2018. Countless phantoms of gods and demons appeared, all of them exuding a terrifying aura. This is outside the range of the heavenly tribulation. The expressions of all the cultivators changed drastically. Even Lin Tian himself was shocked. He had not expected this to happen at all. He had only activated the origin of reincarnation and unleashed his peak potential. He had not expected this to happen. Then, his saint body trembled slightly, and he was shocked again. As the phantoms of gods and demons appeared, his saint power was being consumed rapidly and decreased rapidly. Roar! Countless gods and demons roared, their voices shaking the sky and causing the world to tremble. Above the firmament, the pitch-black lightning vortex shook violently. Because of the roar, cracks appeared one after another. After that, the lightning became even more berserk. In the unseen world, there really seemed to be a supreme existence within. At this moment, that supreme existence was completely enraged. The entire lightning vortex, together with 6 different types of destructive lightning, pressured towards Lin Tian. This was a terrifying scene. The pitch-black lightning vortex struck down with endless lightning and destructive lightning phantoms. It was as if the firmament was really pressing down. The destructive aura completely covered the space within a radius of 10,000 feet. Retreat! Run! Someone cried out in horror. They had already retreated far away. Now that they were facing the final round of the main lightning punishment, just the shockwaves alone caused many cultivators to be terrified. All of them fled into the distance. The white tiger and the little Taichu also retreated once again. This last round of the main lightning punishment was really too terrifying. Rumbling sounds could be heard as destructive gales swept out in all directions, sweeping out in all directions. Lin Tian stood under the heavenly tribulation, facing the pitch-black lightning vortex and sensing the terrifying destructive aura. He quickly put away his surprise at the phantoms of gods and demons that appeared behind him, and his eyes became fierce again. Kill! He spat out these words in a low voice. His black hair danced, and killing intent surged out of his body, as well as his battle chi. Behind him, the phantoms of gods and demons seemed to have sensed his killing intent and battle chi, and they roared again. In the next moment, the souls of the gods and demons soared into the sky and charged towards the lightning vortex. In the blink of an eye, the fiend god soul phantoms clashed with the lightning phantoms and the lightning vortex. Rumble! In this place, the space in all directions had completely collapsed. Hurricane after hurricane surged wildly. In the blink of an eye, a total of 7 breaths had passed. The lightning vortex disappeared, the dense lightning shadows disappeared, and the fiend god souls also disappeared. The darkness in the sky gradually dispersed, and the world became bright once more. Smoke and dust swirled in the air. Bolts of lightning crackled before disappearing. Lin Tian's face was a little pale. He was panting slightly, but he still stood in the air. Buzz! The sky trembled as 7-colored divine radiance revolved around it. A 7-colored auspicious cloud converged, intertwining with a divine and auspicious aura. For a time, all the cultivators in the distance were moved. I've endured it, someone said with a trembling voice. That terrifying heavenly tribulation seemed to be able to destroy everything. Just the aftermath alone was terrifying. Now, Lin Tian had endured it perfectly. Reincarnation constitution. He can even attract heavenly tribulation at the sage level. A total of 81 rounds of heavenly tribulation. He has withstood all of them, many cultivators muttered to themselves in a trembling voice. At the same time, they could not help but tremble slightly. On this day, what they saw in this place was too shocking. It was almost unforgettable. In the distance, the white tiger and the little Taichu were overjoyed. He made it. That's great. Yeah. Both of them were overjoyed as they headed towards Lin Tian's place. It was also at this moment that the sound of something breaking through the air suddenly rang out. In the crowd far away, dozens of figures moved. All of them were intertwined with the aura of a sage king. They all rushed towards Lin Tian, who had just survived the heavenly tribulation. Such a scene caused many cultivators to change their expressions again. The strongest physique. Its origin is the supreme treasure of heaven and earth. It surpasses everything. Everyone wants to obtain it. Some of the older cultivators murmured. After the other cultivators were moved, they also understood why these sage kings rushed towards Lin Tian. At this time, Lin Tian, who had just survived the heavenly tribulation, was very weak. These people did not want to let go of this opportunity and wanted to seize the reincarnation origin. You're all courting death. Yeah. The white tiger and the little Taichu were shocked and angry. They rushed towards Lin Tian as fast as they could. From afar, they used their great magical powers and secret techniques to suppress the dozens of sage kings who were rushing towards Lin Tian. For a moment, rumbling sounds could be heard. Even though they were only sages, their auras were very terrifying. They could be called kings in the same realm, especially the little Taichu, who was at the ninth heaven of sages. At this time, his entire body was surging with six-colored divine light. Six-colored divine flames covered the sky as if they were going to ignite the heavens. However, their speed could not compare to the sage kings. In the blink of an eye, dozens of sage kings rushed in front of Lin Tian. Their eyes were filled with greed and madness. This was because in front of them was a reincarnation entity, the strongest physique in heaven and earth. As long as they seized Lin Tian's reincarnation origin, they would obtain endless benefits. Their future achievements would be limitless. They might even become a new reincarnation entity. With a rumbling sound, dozens of large hands grabbed at Lin Tian together, causing the space around Lin Tian to shatter. Damn it! Get lost! The white tiger roared angrily and crazily sped up. The little Taichu was also anxious and angry. He increased his speed again and used his special ability. The four-spirit guardian divine elephant shook the sky. At this time, they could feel that Lin Tian, who had survived the destructive heavenly tribulation, was very weak. His saint power was almost depleted. Under such circumstances, he was no match for dozens of sage kings. Don't come over. Watch from the side. It was also at this time that Lin Tian's voice rang out, causing the white tiger and the little Taichu to be moved. They could not help but be stunned. After going through this heavenly tribulation, his saint energy was almost depleted and he did not have much left. However, facing the dozens of Saint King-level powerhouses who were charging at him, his expression did not change at all. His eyes were cold and piercing. Seven-colored divine light intertwined in his body. A divine sword rushed out from his sea of consciousness and immediately emitted a monstrous sword power. Clang! The ear-piercing sound of the sword rang out in all directions, directly shattering the sky. The dozens of sage kings who were charging at him immediately trembled. The madness, greed, and excitement in their eyes suddenly dissipated by a lot. Such a sharp sword made their souls ache. They could not help but feel a bone-piercing chill run down their spines. Then, they stopped in their tracks and quickly retreated. However, they had all rushed too close to Lin Tian. At this time, although they retreated very quickly, they could not completely avoid the sharp sword chi emitted by the seven-colored divine sword. Chapter 2019. The blood was bright red and dazzling. Dozens of Saint Kings were cut into pieces at the same time, causing the expressions of the cultivators here to change again. That sword, many cultivators trembled. At this time, they could all feel the terrifying sword power of the seven-colored divine sword beside Lin Tian. That sword power seemed to be able to easily annihilate everything. At the same time, the white tiger and little Taichu were also moved. This kid can summon that sword again. The white tiger was pleasantly surprised. It knew very well how terrifying this seven-colored divine sword was. It was definitely not weaker than a heaven-reaching divine weapon. Since Lin Tian had summoned this sword, then there should be no danger in front of them. After all, it could feel that the strongest cultivators here were only Saint Kings. People of this level could not withstand the power of the seven-colored divine sword at all. Gulula, flesh and bones wriggled. The blood all over the sky gathered in different directions. Dozens of Saint Kings were cut into pieces, but their souls were immortal. At this time, they reformed their bodies. This was a total of 35 Saint Kings. The strongest was at the third heaven of the Saint King realm. At this time, the madness and greed in their eyes for Lin Tian's reincarnation origin disappeared even more. Looking at the seven-colored divine sword beside Lin Tian, the Saint Kings could not help but tremble. Lin Tian stood in the sky and looked coldly at the dozens of Saint Kings. He reached out to grab the seven-colored divine sword and slashed straight down. Clang! The sound of the sword was ear-piercing. It landed on the person in front of the dozens of Saint Kings. This time, he controlled the sword with his mind. The sword light was undoubtedly much more terrifying than before. It was terrifyingly swift and fierce. With a poof, the Saint King at the front did not have time to dodge and was directly hit. He exploded again, and this time, his soul was not able to survive. It was annihilated by the sword light along with the Saint King's body. Dead. A Saint King, one hit. Many cultivators were terrified. At the same time, the other 34 Saint Kings trembled again. The greed for the reincarnation origin in their eyes completely disappeared. Then, in the next moment, these Saint Kings did not hesitate and all retreated far away. Don't even think about leaving after attacking me, Lin Tianlong said. The sword in his hand trembled. It instantly erupted with sword might. A seven-colored sword realm appeared and completely sealed the space within 100 feet. All 34 Saint Kings were all trapped. When he unsealed his origin, he knew that he would be targeted by some people in this place. The moment the heavenly tribulation dispersed, they would attack and steal his reincarnation origin. Therefore, after unsealing his origin, he immediately communicated with the rainbow divine sword in his sea of consciousness while he was undergoing the heavenly tribulation. Finally, when the last heavenly tribulation passed, he successfully communicated with the rainbow divine sword in his sea of consciousness. The rainbow divine sword in his sea of consciousness gave him a response. He summoned the seven-colored divine sword. Even though he did not have much saint power left, he could still use this sword to unleash a destructive sword light. It was no problem for him to deal with Saint Kings. Moreover, at this moment, the rainbow clouds hovered in the sky after the heavenly tribulation dispersed. Seven-colored divine light descended, enveloping him. His vitality rapidly recovered. The might of the divine swords he could use would become more and more powerful with the passage of time. The several dozen Saint Kings had no way of contending with him at all. It was impossible for them to stop him. Clang! The sword realm trapped dozens of people. He waved his sword again. Another seven-colored sword light slashed out and landed on another Saint King. This Saint King tried to block it, but he could not block it at all. The divine technique he used was directly shattered. Then, the sword light landed on his body. With a poof, it shattered. His spiritual soul was also shattered along with his physical body, vanishing into thin air. Another Saint King in the distance. Many cultivators could not help but tremble. In the blink of an eye, 2 Saint Kings had been wiped out. Moreover, it was all with one strike. Of the 35 Saint Kings, only 33 were left now. They trembled even more violently. The 33 people looked at Lin Tian. For a moment, their expressions became extremely ugly. They saw that Lin Tian's aura had weakened to the bottom after passing the heavenly tribulation. They wanted to take the opportunity to capture Lin Tian and seize Lin Tian's reincarnation origin. However, they did not expect that Lin Tian would summon such a terrifying divine sword. The power of this sword was too strong. It terrified them. At this moment, their bodies were in intense pain from the pressure of the sword might. Lin Tian looked at the 33 Saint Kings. Without saying anything, he stood where he was and waved the divine sword in his hand again. With a clang, This time, a total of 3 sword lights flew out and pierced through the great void. Poof! 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 The 3 Saint Kings were pierced. Their physical bodies exploded. Their spiritual souls were also shattered. Just like the previous 2, their spiritual souls were destroyed. For a moment, the remaining 30 Saint Kings were even more terrified. Stop, stop. We only had bad intentions. We haven't done anything to you yet. Don't kill us, someone said. At this moment, the surrounding space had been sealed up by the sword world, so they were unable to escape. Moreover, the might of the 7-colored sword in Lin Tian's hand was so terrifying that they were unable to resist it. As a result, they could only beg for mercy. Lin Tian looked at the person who spoke. His eyes were cold. Still, he did not say anything and directly slashed out with his sword. Pooh! As expected, this Saint King who spoke was directly obliterated in body and soul. Blood mist drifted in the air. In the blink of an eye, only 29 of the 35 Saint Kings were left. In the sky, the rainbow auspicious clouds trembled after the heavenly tribulation. More rainbow light fell and entered Lin Tian's body. This rainbow light was the condensation of the great Tao of heaven and earth. It contained endless energy. After entering his body, his saint energy that was about to dry up from the heavenly tribulation quickly recovered. In the blink of an eye, he had recovered 30% of his saint energy. After recovering 30% of his saint energy, his face gradually became rosy and was no longer pale. He waved the divine sword again. With a loud clang, this time, a total of 7 sword lights flew out. The sword might was even more terrifying than before, and each sword light accurately landed on a Saint King's body. In the blink of an eye, the 7 Saint Kings all exploded into a mist of blood. Another 7 Saint Kings were destroyed in body and soul. You didn't lose anything now. Don't be too cruel. Don't be too ruthless. There were only 22 of the 35 Saint Kings left. One of them spoke, and the Saint King's body could not help but tremble. Lin Tian tilted his head and looked. Without saying anything, he slashed out with his sword just like before. Poof! Blood splattered. The person who spoke was cut into pieces. Like the other Saint Kings, their bodies and souls were destroyed. In the sky, the rainbow auspicious clouds trembled. More rainbow light fell, causing his saint energy to recover to 50%. Chapter 2020. His sword aura was extremely sharp. He raised his sword and slashed down at the last 22 Saint Kings. With a clang, a sharp sword light shot out and directly cut another Saint King into pieces. Even his divine soul was shattered. You are so cruel. You've already killed more than a dozen people, and you still want to continue. One of the remaining Saint Kings said angrily. At the same time, there was fear in his eyes. Lin Tian tilted his head and looked at him coldly. The 7-colored divine sword released a blinding sword light and cut this person into pieces. A group of people had their eyes on his reincarnation origin and came to suppress him to steal his origin. They were no match for him and were killed by him. Now, they were saying such words. This really disgusted him. He shook the divine sword in his hand. Sharp sword chi swept out and completely enveloped this area in sword aura. The remaining 21 Saint Kings were all shocked by this sword chi. They could not help but tremble. Damn it, let's fight it out with him. Someone roared in shock and anger. Saint Power surged out and directly came into contact with his strongest divine technique. Then almost at the same time, the other Saint Kings also attacked together. They knew that Lin Tian would not show mercy. At this time, in order to survive, they all used their strongest techniques. Dozens of destructive divine techniques pressed down on Lin Tian. Lin Tian's expression was cold. After the heavenly tribulation dispersed, the 7-colored light fell from the sky and enveloped him, causing his essence, chi, and spirit to rise. He stood in place and waved the 7-colored divine sword in his hand. Streaks of sharp sword light shot out. Poof! 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 Blood splattered everywhere as one Saint King after another was cut down, accompanied by horrified screams. In the blink of an eye, there was only one Saint King left. Within the range of the sword realm, he staggered back again and again. Spare me, spare me. Even though he knew that Lin Tian would not show mercy, this last Saint King could not help but tremble and beg for mercy. Lin Tianyi did not say a word. He raised his hand and slashed, destroying this person's body and spirit. Dead, all dead. 35 Saint Kings, just like that in the distance, the cultivators couldn't help but tremble. Lin Tian held the seven-colored divine sword and scanned the surrounding cultivators coldly. Who else wants my source energy? His voice was ice-cold. As soon as these words were spoken, all the cultivators trembled violently. They all shook their heads and couldn't help but stagger backwards. What a joke! More than 30 Saint King Realm Masters had been killed in the blink of an eye, so how could any of them below the Saint King Realm dare step forward to die? Even if he had the heart to seize the source of reincarnation, he didn't have the strength or guts to do so. Lin Tian swept his gaze over the crowd. Holding the seven-colored divine sword, he stood in the void. After a pause, he retracted his gaze. Buzz! After the heavens' tribulation dispersed, the seven-colored auspicious clouds hovered above his head, sprinkling down strands of seven-colored light that contained the boundless power of heaven and earth. At this moment, he was channeling the Heart Sutra of Sun, quickly refining the power of this seven-colored light. As such, the aura on his body grew stronger bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, a full 15 minutes had passed. After 15 minutes, with the help of the power of the seven-colored auspicious clouds, his essence, chi, and spirit had completely recovered. His strength had increased a lot, and he was even closer to the Saint King realm. At the same time, the seven-colored auspicious clouds trembled slightly and slowly disappeared. With two whooshing sounds, the little Taichu and the white tiger flashed over. Let's go! Lin Tian glanced at the cultivators here, called the little Taichu and the white tiger, and directly went into the distance. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the sight of the cultivators here. The cultivators stood in place, many of them dumbfounded. His divine sword is too powerful. It's at least a sovereign-level precious weapon, or even stronger. What's that sword? The most important thing is his physique. The reincarnation physique, the legendary physique, the strongest physique that has never appeared. Actually appeared. I actually saw the legendary strongest physique. Many cultivators looked in the direction Lin Tian left, their eyes flashing. The reincarnation physique, the legendary strongest physique that had never appeared before, could suppress all the king physiques and bloodlines. Any physique and bloodline were not worth mentioning in front of the reincarnation physique. Many cultivators originally thought that such a physique would never appear. After all, it was too heaven-defying and shocking. However, they did not expect that such a physique would appear now. The heaven realm is going to be in an uproar. An older cultivator murmured. Then on this day, what happened in this place seemed to have grown wings in the blink of an eye, spreading to all parts of the heaven realm. There were even people who sent out spiritual imprints, which included Lin Tian's appearance and the scene of Lin Tian's heavenly tribulation. For a moment, the entire heaven realm of nothingness was shaken. Reincarnation physique? It appeared. This person, isn't he the person that the celestial court has been chasing a while ago? He's actually a reincarnation physique. Reincarnation physique. This, everywhere in the heaven realm, in different places, everyone was shocked. The appearance of the legendary strongest king physique caused such a huge commotion that the entire heaven realm was in an uproar. Reincarnation physique. It's mine! Inside the ancient successions and forbidden lands, eyes sprang open one after another. Their eyes were filled with godly glows. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. In a green mountain in the void realm, after transcending the heavenly tribulation, Lin Tian left the place where he transcended the tribulation with the white tiger and the little Taichu. He stayed in this ordinary green mountain and spent 3 days in seclusion to stabilize his realm. On this day, he came out of seclusion. "Boy, you're in big trouble now," the white tiger said, his face full of worry. The reincarnation physique was known as the strongest physique. This was indisputable. The reincarnation origin was definitely the #1 treasure in the world, the #1 panacea. Countless people wanted to get it, and even experts at the heaven realm could not resist that temptation. Now that Lin Tian's reincarnation physique was exposed and spread everywhere, it would definitely attract one ancient existence after another. "Do you know where your perverted master is? Ask him to come out and protect us. Otherwise, we'll be in big trouble." It was a little anxious. Lin Tian shook his head. His master was always wandering around. How could he know where he was now? The white tiger gritted its teeth. "Then, we'll leave the void realm with the realm-crossing talisman given by Xianwang and go to the lower realm. Those in the heaven realm who want to seize the reincarnation origin will probably only search in the void realm. They didn't expect us to go to the lower realm." Boom! Suddenly, a powerful saint aura came from afar. Holy light swept across, and waves of light surged, shattering many nearby mountains. The mountains collapsed, and the green mountain where Lin Tian and the others were also collapsed, revealing Lin Tian and the others. Reincarnation physique found. Chapter 2021. Over the past few days, the Void Realm had been in an uproar. They were all shocked by the birth of the reincarnation body. At the same time, many experts had their eyes on the reincarnation origin. One expert after another moved, searching for Lin Tian all over the heaven realm. At this time, 3 Ninth Heaven Saint Kings appeared here. They had been friends for 10,000 years. They worked together to search. When they passed by many mountains, they bombarded them with their saint power. They never thought that they would find Lin Tian at this time. Suppress him? The 3 of them were pleasantly surprised and excited. They rushed toward Lin Tian. One of them spoke, and the 3 of them each held up a great divine technique. The reincarnation body was the strongest physique. The origin of such a physique contained infinite possibilities. It was a supreme treasure. Damn it! The white tiger was shocked and angry. They had already hidden so well. This place was a very ordinary green mountain. Generally speaking, no cultivators would come here. They did not expect that they would be discovered in just a few days. Lin Tian's face was also solemn. He used the king's domain with the cultivation of a 9th heaven saint and blasted the 3 of them with the reincarnation map. "Let's go!" After the reincarnation map was released, he directly called the white tiger and the little Taichu to retreat. At this time, he could no longer summon the 7-colored divine sword. Although his battle strength was strong, he was only a 9th heaven saint. When he used the reincarnation forging technique, he might be able to kill a 1st heaven saint king expert and contend with a 2nd heaven saint king expert. However, he was definitely no match for a 9th heaven saint king. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The man and the 2 beasts were very fast. They all cultivated strange movement techniques. In the blink of an eye, they had rushed far away. Don't even think about escaping. Among the 3 Saint Kings, someone spoke and all of them sped up to catch up. Lin Tian, the white tiger, and the little Taichu all maintained their speed at this time. The saint power outside their bodies was surging. In the blink of an eye, dozens of immortal mountains were left behind. That is, cycle of reincarnation. In the past few days, the news of the birth of the reincarnation body had spread throughout the entire heaven realm of nihility. The appearance of the reincarnation body, Lin Tian, was also included in the news. Many cultivators naturally recognized Lin Tian. Behind him, that's 3 Saint Kings. There's no need to think about it. Those people must be trying to seize the reincarnation source origin. As for the 3 Saint Kings who were chasing after Lin Tian, these cultivators naturally guessed that their goal was to seize the reincarnation source. This was because in the past few days, countless experts had been searching for Lin Tian. Their goal was the reincarnation source. Moreover, The greed in the eyes of the three Saint Kings could not be concealed at all. Anyone with a discerning eye could instantly see through their intentions. The three Saint Kings' eyes were filled with greed and excitement. At this time, even though there were many cultivators looking at them, they did not care at all. They did not care that they were considered evil. This was because in the entire heaven realm of nihility, too many experts were searching for the reincarnation bodies. Their goal was to seize the reincarnation source. With so many people searching for the reincarnation bodies and seizing the reincarnation source, what else did they care about? Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. They chased after Lin Tian, the little Taichu, and the white tiger. Their speed was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, they were endless distance away. Lin Tian, the little Taichu, and the white tiger ran all the way. Along the way, they were seen by many cultivators, and all the cultivators were shocked. In the blink of an eye, another few dozen immortal mountains were left behind. They appeared on a relatively wide plain. There were even more cultivators in this place, but there were not many powerhouses. The strongest was only in the quasi-sage realm. Reincarnation body. Seeing Lin Tian, the reincarnation body, all the cultivators near the plain were moved. Their eyes could not help but shine with other lights. Everyone was shocked and shocked. At this moment, they were all staring at Lin Tian. There had never been a constitution in the world. The strongest constitution and the strongest bloodline. It was impossible not to attract attention, even if he did not want to. The three Saint Kings were chasing after them. At this time, they had also caught up to the plain. Those three are ninth-tier Saint Kings. They want to seize the reincarnation source. The cultivators on the plain naturally also saw the three Saint Kings. Seeing them chasing after Lin Tian, they knew their purpose in an instant. Reincarnation body, the strongest constitution, and the strongest bloodline. I really don't know if it's lucky or sad to have such a constitution. Someone sighed. The reincarnation body was very strong and very heaven-defying. It had the capital to be called invincible in the future. However, now that the reincarnation body was exposed, it immediately attracted the covetous eyes of all the experts in the world. It attracted the disaster of life and death. Was it a blessing or a curse? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sound of the air being torn rang out one after another at an extremely fast speed. The three Saint Kings were getting closer and closer to Lin Tian and the others. After entering the plain here, they finally really closed in and appeared several zhang behind Lin Tian, the little Taichu, and the white tiger. Reincarnation body. You are ours. The three Saint Kings' eyes were filled with excitement and greed that could not be concealed. They raised their hands together and grabbed at Lin Tian. As for the little Taichu and the white tiger beside Lin Tian, the three Saint Kings did not care at all. In the blink of an eye, the three Saint Kings' big hands reached above Lin Tian's head. Saint Might intertwined around him. It was also at this time that Lin Tian, who had been running all the way forward, suddenly turned around with a ruthless and cold look in his eyes. Saint Light surrounded his hands, extremely dazzling. At this time, a Saint King Great Seal was revealed. A destructive aura directly spread out like a mountain flood. The aura was terrifying. The three Saint Kings were shocked. I'll give it to you. Lin Tian's voice was cold as he interrupted the three Saint Kings. The Saint King Great Seal in his hand was mixed with destructive energy. He shook his hand and threw it out, landing beside the three Saint Kings. The Saint King Great Seal was obtained in the Kongming Dao sect. Previously, when he was in Wanshang Valley, he wanted to use it to deal with the ninth heavenly layer Saint King of the Celestial Court. However, the crocodile ancestor suddenly appeared and did not cause the seal to self-destruct. Now he was being chased by three Saint Kings. During this process, he was not just simply running away. He was secretly triggering the Saint King Great Seal to self-destruct. At this time, the self-destruction process reached its peak. Boom! When the seal landed beside the three Saint Kings, it immediately exploded. The shockwave of destruction immediately flooded the surroundings. The destructive wave was extremely terrifying. It was equivalent to a fifth heavenly layer Saint King self-destructing. The impact was shocking. The three ninth heavenly layer Saint Kings could not dodge. They were immediately drowned by the destructive wave from the self-destruction of the seal. Immediately, there were miserable cries. At the same time, there was anger. Three mists of blood exploded in the air. A shocking sand mist lingered in the air. Gravel flew everywhere. A huge crater with a diameter of more than 300 meters was blasted into the ground. It was extremely terrifying. Moreover, the destructive wave from the self-destruction of the seal continued to spread, spreading even further. Along the way, the ground collapsed inch by inch. It was a terrifying scene. Chapter 2022. The self-destruction of a Saint King-level treasure artifact was naturally very terrifying. The destructive waves spread out. In the blink of an eye, the destructive waves spread out for over 200 meters, creating a huge crater that was over 200 meters wide. Sand and dust floated in the air as the destructive chi intertwined in the air. It was extremely terrifying. At the same time, blood, flesh, and bones floated in the air. They belonged to the three ninth heavenly layer saint rulers who had been blown apart. Damn it! Shocked and furious voices rang out. They were rather weak. The bodies of the three saint rulers had been destroyed, and cracks had appeared on their souls. However, they had not been destroyed in the end. At this moment, they had reformed their bodies. After regathering their Saint King grade bodies, the trio's faces were pale, and their essence, chi, and soul were much weaker. The self-destruction of a Saint King-level treasure artifact had drowned them in such a terrifying destructive force. It was already a miracle that they had survived. You actually did this. They looked at Lin Tian in shock and anger. Saint rulers like them, who had been saint rulers for tens of thousands of years, did not even have a single one. Now, Lin Tian had actually destroyed a Saint King-level treasure artifact to deal with them. How could they have expected this? Previously, they had all heard that Lin Tian had an extremely powerful sword that could kill ordinary saint rulers. However, they did not care. After all, they were ninth heavenly layer saint rulers. Moreover, there were three of them. They did not think that a sword that could kill ordinary saint rulers was enough to threaten them. They were still thinking that after taking Lin Tian's samsara origin, they would obtain the sword as well. However, they did not think that Lin Tian would directly destroy a Saint King-level treasure artifact to deal with them. They had not expected this at all and had been heavily injured. Lin Tian looked at the three of them. His eyes were extremely cold, sharp, and cruel. He took a step forward. At this time, the three Saint Kings were severely injured by the self-destruction of the Saint King Grade Seal. Their combat strength was not even at the level of an ordinary Saint King. At most, they were comparable to a cultivator in the third heaven of the Saint Realm. How could he be afraid? He moved extremely quickly. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived before the three of them. He raised his hand and swung the Chaotic Emperor's fist down. Dong! He activated the primal Chaos Emperor fist with his cultivation at the peak of the ninth heaven of the Saint Realm. The might of his fist was terrifying as it shattered the void. The three Saint Kings immediately felt a chill run down their spines. Shocked and furious, they quickly retreated. This kind of punch was something none of them would have cared about when they were in their peak condition, but at this moment, all of them had been severely injured by the self-destruction of their Saint King Grade Seals and felt that it would be difficult for them to block this punch. They retreated quickly, but Lin Tian's punches were even faster. The next moment, the fist force directly enveloped the three of them. Pooh! 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 The three Saint Kings were instantly smashed into pieces by this punch. However, as ninth heavenly layer Saint Rulers, the souls of the three of them were extremely tough. They did not disperse from Lin Tian's punch, reforming their bodies in the blink of an eye. Go! One of them gritted his teeth, unwilling to give up. He looked at Lin Tianyi with a face full of murderous intent and immediately retreated. The allure of the samsara source was infinite, but at this time, after being hit head-on by the self-destructing Saint King Grade Seals, All of them had suffered extremely heavy injuries and were far from being able to display their peak strength. At this time, in terms of combat power, they were no longer Lin Tian's opponent, so all they could do was flee. Although the reincarnation origin was infinitely tempting and had supreme value, their lives were undoubtedly more important. In a situation where they were certain that they could not obtain the reincarnation origin, it was naturally more important to protect their lives. Boom! At this moment, a hurricane swept over, and the white tiger flashed over. It was very fast, and the saint-level treasure light directly pressed down on the three of them. At the same time, the little Taichu also flashed over. The wings on its back flapped, and the six-colored divine light instantly spread out in all directions. Pooh! 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 Once again, the three Saint Kings were shattered, and blood splattered across the sky. The three of them were even more shocked and furious, quickly reforming their bodies. U3F * Curse. The white tiger's voice was cold as it stood guard by the side. Yeah! The little Taichu glared at the three of them, and the six-colored divine light lingered around its body. Lin Tian's eyes were cold and cruel. He stood in another position, and together with the little Taichu and the white tiger, they formed a triangle and surrounded the three Saint Kings in the middle. The three saint-level auras intertwined, directly sealing the space in all directions. The three Saint Kings immediately trembled. They could feel that at this moment the space in all directions had been frozen, and they had no way of retreating at all. Lin Tian stared at the three Saint Kings, and his eyes were cold. Do it as cruelly as possible, he said coldly. Then he directly moved. Golden pure yang flames surged out of his body, burning the void in all directions, and directly engulfing the three Saint Kings. In the blink of an eye, the golden divine fire completely engulfed the three of them. Immediately, the three Saint Kings let out miserable screams. They struggled continuously, wanting to put out the flames on their bodies, but then they realized that they could not put out the flames at all. Lin Tian's eyes were emotionless. At this moment, he used the pure yang flames, which were divine fire that could even burn divine power and doctrine principles. Under exquisite control, he slowly burned the three's flesh, divine souls, origin, and spiritual seas bit by bit. The process was extremely painful, and it was completely an inhumane torture. The three of them screamed. Their flesh and blood were burned bit by bit into ashes, and their blood was evaporated bit by bit. Their saint power and God principles were also burned bit by bit. They were in extreme pain, and all of them fell to the ground, rolling desperately. Little Taichu said angrily. With a flap of its wings, the six-colored divine fire that was not weaker than the pure yang flames surged out. It was its innate divine fire, and at this moment, it surged toward the three of them. Under Lin Tian's guidance, it controlled its power like Lin Tian did, slowly burning the three's flesh, divine souls, origin, and spiritual seas bit by bit. Previously, I obtained many ancient scriptures and divine techniques in that super ancient tomb, and I've comprehended many of them. There's a very vicious technique that corrodes one's soul and erodes one's bones. Let's try it out. The white tiger sneered. Saint-level demonic power surged, and it performed that great technique. A strange demonic light directly enveloped the three of them. At this moment, the three of them trembled violently, and they let out even more miserable screams. They kept rolling on the ground and kept struggling. Near the plains, many cultivators saw this scene and heard the three's screams. They could not help but tremble. At this moment, they could feel that the three Saint Kings were suffering inhumane torture. It could be said that they were living a life worse than death. Stop. Stop it. I beg you stop. Chapter 2023. The three saint rulers screamed in agony as they rolled on the ground, struggling for their lives. Even though they knew that Lin Tian would not show them mercy, they still begged for mercy as the pain they were enduring was too great. The other cultivators near the plains could not help but feel a chill run down their spines when they saw this scene. Lin Tian's expression was cold. These people wanted to steal his reincarnation origin, so he naturally would not treat them kindly. He purposely used the cruelest method to kill them, purposely letting the other cultivators near the plains see it. He wanted to let the world know that he was not a merciful person, and if they wanted to steal his reincarnation origin, they would have to be prepared to pay the most painful price. Of course, he was clearly aware that there wasn't much meaning in doing so, because his quintessence was too tempting to other cultivators, and such temptation was sufficient to make them charge fearlessly towards him. But even so, he still did it. At least, doing so would allow him to vent his anger to a certain extent. Ah! Shrill screams echoed in the area. The three saint rulers were enveloped by the pure yang flames, the six-colored divine flames, and the arcane technique of the white tiger, enduring inhumane torture. Their bodies were burned bit by bit, their blood evaporated bit by bit, their souls were annihilated bit by bit, and their bones were rotting bit by bit. Just looking at it made one's scalp tingle. Then, the screams lasted for an hour, and the three disappeared in endless pain. Their flesh, souls, origin, and Saint Chi were completely burned by the pure yang flames and the six-colored divine flames. Their bones were completely corroded by the white tiger's arcane technique, and even their marrow was burned dry bit by bit. So cruel. Near the plains, a group of cultivators could not help but tremble when they saw this scene, and many of their faces turned pale. At Lin Tian's feet, 3 human-shaped ashes fell to the ground. He glanced at the cultivators nearby and did not hesitate. He immediately called the white tiger, Little Taichu, to leave. Almost at the moment they stepped out of this place, terrifying waves of energy appeared from dozens of different positions in the distance, intertwining with extremely sharp Saint aura, all rushing towards this place. Go! Lin Tian said in a low voice as he called out to the white tiger and Little Taichu. Then, with the fastest speed they could muster, they disappeared into the distance. Now that the Saint Ruler's seal had self-destructed, he could only deal with enemies in the first layer of Saint King at most. The Saint aura that appeared in the distance at this time showed that it was not weaker than the previous 3 people. It was even stronger. He was not a match for it now. He could sense that those people were definitely coming for him and his samsara origin source. Almost at the instant he left, dozens of figures rushed over from afar, all of them at the Saint King level. As soon as these people appeared, they immediately stared in the direction that Lin Tian had left in. Unconcealable greed filled their eyes as they cautiously glanced at the other Saint Rulers before chasing after Lin Tian. Those people are also doing it for the origin of samsara. Those people seem to be the patriarchs of different imperishable sects, but now they're actually at this place. Many cultivators were moved. At the same time they sighed. Now that samsara had appeared in the world, in order to get the origin of samsara, all the independent cultivators and patriarchs of the great sects had taken action. The fate of the reincarnated body would probably be very sad. Lin Tian left the flat ground before, leading the white tiger and Little Taichu to escape at the fastest speed. At this time, they were already very far away, leaving more than 100 celestial mountains behind them. The white tiger said to Lin Tiandao, "Boy, like I said before, we'll use the realm crossing talisman to go to the lower world." Lin Tian frowned, then nodded. "That's the only way. Find a place where no one can see and disturb us." Now, in the heaven realm of void, many experts were chasing after him. It was too dangerous to stay in this world at this time. Relatively speaking, it was much safer to leave the heaven realm and go to the lower world. On the other hand, using the realm crossing talisman to open the world door from the heaven realm to the lower world required a certain amount of time. It couldn't be disturbed by others, otherwise it would fail. Moreover, he couldn't let others see him use the realm crossing talisman. Otherwise, if others saw him going to the lower world, it wouldn't be much different from staying in the heaven realm of void. There would definitely be people chasing after him. Under normal circumstances, those who could chase him to the lower world were all existences above the sovereign realm. At that time, it might bring some unnecessary disasters to the lower world. Therefore, using the realm-crossing talisman couldn't be seen by others. Immediately, he and the white tiger and little Taichu sped up again, heading towards some desolate and uninhabited places. Boom! At this moment, Saint's might rolled out, coming from behind them. It was mixed with the terrifying might of a Saint King. The dozens of Saint Kings from before were closing in at this moment. Damn it! The white tiger was shocked and furious. These people actually caught up so quickly, so they didn't have the chance to find a hiding place to use the realm-crossing talisman. Lin Tian's expression was also very heavy. He called out to the white tiger and little Taichu and continued to escape. The white tiger and little Taichu weren't as fast as him. He used the reincarnation forging divine technique. Under the situation where the reincarnation origin was completely unsealed, his strength increased tenfold. He used it to activate the yin-yang steps and brought the white tiger and little Taichu to escape into the distance. However, even so, with dozens of Saint Kings chasing after him, the distance between them was still constantly closing. Their speed was still faster than when he used the yin-yang steps. His expression was not very good, but it was impossible for him to stop here. He continued to escape into the distance at his fastest speed. Not long after group of cultivators appeared in the direction he was fleeing. They were all shocked when they saw him, a reincarnated being. Then, they were all moved when they saw him being chased by dozens of Saint Kings. Isn't that the patriarch of the 9 revolutions, Saint Court inside? He's chasing after the reincarnated body and wants to take the reincarnation origin. The pavilion master of the Fantasy Ocean Treasure Pavilion, the old Saint King of the Thunder and Fire Fairy Land, the previous island master of the Immortal Bestowment Ancient Island, the divine nun of the Luotian Nunnery is also, many cultivators were shocked. They recognized the dozens of Saint Kings, and all of them came from extraordinary sections. These cultivators' voices were filled with shock. They weren't loud, but Lin Tian, who was running all the way, still heard them. Chapter 2024. His reincarnation physique had been exposed, and he was being hunted down by people he had no grudges with. He was a treasure in the eyes of others, and all of them wanted to take his reincarnation origin. Lin Tian was naturally filled with endless anger and murderous intent. Insolence. The dozens of Saint Kings behind Lin Tian naturally heard his voice, and at the same time, they all said coldly with greed. They chased after Lin Tian, and the distance between them and Lin Tian was constantly closing. Lin Tian led the white tiger and little Taichu as they flew all the way, crossing one celestial mountain after another. The dozens of Saint Kings were getting closer and closer to him, and they were only less than 1,000 feet away. Damn it! He gritted his teeth. During the process of escaping, he had been trying his best to communicate with the rainbow divine sword in his consciousness. However, perhaps because he had just used it not long ago, the rainbow divine sword did not respond at all. At the same time, he was also trying his best to vibrate his saint power origin, trying to open that pair of special divine eyes, but it was to no avail. This made him angry, and at the same time, he was also extremely anxious. The current situation was really terrible. However, even so, he could not give up and continued to flee with the little Taichu and white tiger. Soon, dozens of celestial mountains were left behind, and dozens of Saint Kings were even closer to him. You can't escape. Among the dozens of Saint Kings, one of them made a move, and the pressure of a peak Saint King surged as he directly raised his hand to grab Lin Tian. At the same time, the other dozens of Saint Kings also made a move. For a moment, dozens of Saint King auras surged, and it was mighty, sealing off the surrounding space. At this time, dozens of people made a move together. They did not attack each other, but they were all on guard against the others because there was only one reincarnation body, and it could only be obtained by one of them. No matter who caught the reincarnation body, they would be surrounded and attacked by dozens of others. Everyone knew this very well, and they were all on guard against such a situation. Lin Tian gritted his teeth and faced the saint power of the peak Saint Kings. he directly held up the Divine Path reincarnation diagram to meet it. At the same time, the White Tiger and Little Taichu also used their strongest techniques to meet the attacks of dozens of Saint Kings. In the blink of an eye, both sides' Saint Power and Divine Arts collided. Rumbling sounds could be heard as the void in all directions was destroyed, and the nearby mountains were directly shattered. Lin Tian was immediately sent by the reincarnation body, and his face turned pale, and blood gushed out of his mouth. As a samsara body, he was extremely powerful, especially now that he had completely unsealed his samsara origin. Coupled with the samsara forging soul type technique, he could use his most powerful technique, which was enough to kill first heavenly layer saint rulers. However, he was obviously not the opponent of several dozen ninth heavenly layer saint rulers. Although he managed to block their attacks, he was heavily injured. At the same time, White Tiger and Little Alpha Primordium were also trembling. They were both injured. However, Lin Tian held up a defensive light screen, and most of the power was absorbed by Lin Tian, so they were not heavily injured. Let's go! Lin Tian gritted his teeth and continued to fly with the White Tiger and Little Taichu. He was definitely no match for these people in a head-on fight. The dozens of Saint King's eyes were cold, and with greed, they chased after Lin Tian once again. In the blink of an eye, more than 2 hours had passed. In these 2 hours, he had been pursued by dozens of peak stage Saint Kings. Lin Tian had continuously unleashed the Divine Path reincarnation diagram, destroying one sect after another. The saint-level precious weapons he had obtained from the Kongming Dao sect had interfered with the pursuit of the dozens of Saint Kings, but he was still unable to shake them off. Moreover, he had suffered even more severe injuries, and his entire body was in intense pain. More than 2 hours later, he had left even more immortal mountains behind him. His speed had become much slower than before. Boom! It was also at this time that other Saint Aura appeared in front of him. The aura was even more terrifying than the dozens of Saint Kings behind him, causing him to stop in his tracks. In front of him, a brown-haired elder appeared and stared at Lin Tian. His eyes were sunken, but at this time, they were filled with light. He saw Lin Tian's hand in the distance, and he was rushing towards him at a ghostly speed. Saint Venerable level. Lin Tian's expression immediately became even uglier. There were dozens of peak Saint Kings chasing after him, and at this time, another Saint Venerable level elite actually appeared in front of him and was rushing towards him. The White Tiger and Little Taichu's expressions also changed. They naturally saw that the brown-haired elder was an elite. The Saint Venerable level's aura was too powerful. Damn it! The White Tiger was shocked and furious. The dozens of peak Saint Kings were also shocked. They did not expect that at this time, a Saint Venerable would appear in front of them. Seeing that a Saint Venerable level elite had appeared to grab Lin Tian, these dozens of peak Saint Kings could not help but stop, and they showed unwilling expressions. They wanted to snatch the reincarnation origin, and they yearned for the reincarnation origin, but at this time, a Saint Venerable level elite had appeared to make a move. How could they fight for it? In front of a Saint Venerable level elite, they were not much different from ants. With a boom, the Saint Venerable level brown-haired elder's large palm print reached in front of Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. It was extremely fast. Mine! A cold voice rang out, and the brown-haired elder was directly sent flying. Another terrifying aura appeared. It was a middle-aged man wearing a purple crown. His eyes were eerie green, and very frightening waves surrounded him. After sending the brown-haired elder flying, he directly grabbed at Lin Tian. Lin Tian's expression changed again. First, it was a peak Saint King, then a Saint Venerable, and now a Dominator had actually appeared. He was shocked and furious, and then his body could not help but tremble. As the Dominator-level purple-crowned, middle-aged man's large hand reached over, the space around him was completely frozen. At this time, he could not move at all. At the same time, beside him, the White Tiger and the Little Taichu were also affected. Like Lin Tianyi, they were also suppressed by the Dominator-level aura of the purple-crowned middle-aged man, and could not move. The dozens of peak Saint King's expressions were also very ugly. Even a Dominator-level elite had come. They were completely not fated with the reincarnation origin, and it was no longer their turn. Immediately, they all retreated at the first moment. The Dominator-level elite attacked Lin Tian. They were not very far from Lin Tian's position, and that kind of pressure made them feel extremely uncomfortable. They were afraid that if they were not careful, they would be crushed by that kind of pressure. Very quickly, the dozens of people retreated very far away. The Dominator-level purple-crowned old man's large hand just happened to press down on Lin Tian's head. Facing the Dominator-level elite's large hand of divine power, Lin Tian's body could not move, but he was trying his best to communicate with the divine sword in his mind. At the same time, he hoped that he could open that pair of divine eyes. With his current cultivation, even if he opened that pair of special divine eyes and summoned the divine sword in his mind, he might not be able to block the Dominator-level elite. However, he could not just give up like this, and it was impossible for him to not put up any resistance. Then, it was also at this time that a demonic wind suddenly swept up and a black-robed middle-aged man appeared beside him. His eyes were very cold. Pooh! Chapter 2025. Bright red blood splattered in the void. It was a ghastly sight, causing everyone in this place to tremble involuntarily. A Dominator-level powerhouse was actually obliterated so easily, disappearing from the world. His body and soul were destroyed. The Dominator-level powerhouse who pressed down on the giant hand was dead. Lin Tian could move at this time. Looking at the middle-aged man in black who appeared beside him, he was immediately moved and then revealed a trace of joy. This middle-aged man in black was an acquaintance. It was the crocodile ancestor. "Thank you, senior." He bowed. The crocodile ancestor waved his hand and looked at Lin Tian. There was a trace of light in his deep eyes. "Young man, you surprised me." It did not expect that this human who had a good relationship with its descendant was actually the legendary reincarnation Imperial Physique. "I didn't tell you this before. Please forgive me, senior." Lin Tian bowed again. The crocodile ancestor came from afar to help him. He was very grateful. Then he looked beside the crocodile ancestor and did not see Whooshing Crocodile. He could not help but ask, "Where's that guy?" "In the 5 elements barrier that I set, refining his bloodline in seclusion. He doesn't know about the outside world," the crocodile ancestor said. Whooshing Crocodile was in seclusion. He was originally protecting Whooshing Crocodile. After hearing the outside world's news, he was immediately moved. He left a large formation in the place where Whooshing Crocodile was refining his bloodline in seclusion. Then he came because he knew that Lin Tian was in a bad situation. Lin Tian was his descendant's best friend, so it was naturally impossible for him not to help. As he spoke, he looked at Lin Tian. His eyes, which were already very fast, became even deeper. He frowned slightly. "Senior, what's wrong?" Seeing the crocodile ancestor looking at him with a frown, he was slightly puzzled. "Nothing." The crocodile ancestor shook its head, but its eyes became deeper. "Senior, you really came at the right time." "Yeah." The white tiger and little Taichu spoke one after another. Fortunately, the crocodile ancestor appeared at this time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. In the distance, the dozens of peak Saint Kings who were chasing Lin Tian could not help but be moved at this time. They looked at the crocodile ancestor next to Lin Tian. They never would have thought that such a terrifying person would be behind Lin Tian. He had killed a Dominator with a single look. What kind of existence was this? The crocodile ancestor could naturally see their gazes, but he didn't care at all. A group of Saint Kings still could not enter his eyes. "Come with me," he said to Lin Tiandao. Lin Tian nodded and followed the crocodile ancestor into the distance with the white tiger and little Taichu. Boom! Suddenly, in this place, the heavens trembled, the void trembling fiercely. There was an extremely terrifying pressure that surged, congealing all directions. The void broke open, and 3 hazy figures stepped out. Only their eyes could be seen. All of them were shrouded in a hazy and terrifying radiance. Their eyes were cold and indifferent, like a few black holes of destruction. Buzz! The moment the three of them appeared, they attacked at the same time, all of them raising their hands to grab Lin Tian. For a moment, three terrifying auras were vast and mighty. In this place, the entire sky changed color, and the wind and clouds surged. This scene made Lin Tian tremble. The three large hands pressed down on him, making him feel as if he was being drowned by three great worlds of destruction. Ascending level. The white tiger and little Taichu's expressions also changed. In the distance, the dozens of peak Saint Kings were also frightened. There were actually three ascending level existences here. Boom! The three large handprints covered all directions and covered all things. The ascending level divine power vibrated as if it was going to annihilate all things. In the blink of an eye, the three large handprints arrived above Lin Tian's head. Everything in all directions was suppressed. The crocodile ancestor's eyes were deep with a kind of coldness. Boom! In the surrounding void, suddenly, rays of five-colored light appeared. The five elements aura was surging, giving birth to rays of five elements killing light. Each ray was extremely terrifying. Puff! 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 The three large hands were shattered immediately, and the three figures shrouded in hazy divine light were pushed back at the same time. Such a scene made the dozens of peak Saint Kings' hearts tremble again. Ascending level. They looked at the crocodile ancestor, and chills ran down their spines. Previously, the crocodile ancestor killed a dominator with just a look. They already felt that the crocodile ancestor was very terrifying, but they did not expect that this terrifying crocodile ancestor was an ascending level existence. Moreover, it was not an ordinary ascending level powerhouse. It could easily injure and send the other three ascending level existences flying. Even Lin Tian was moved, shocked by the strength of the crocodile ancestor. The three ascending level existences, shrouded in hazy divine light, were sent flying hundreds of feet away by the crocodile ancestor, and they all stabilized their bodies. As expected of the famous crocodile ancestor before the primordial age, the primordial five elements power is indeed terrifying. One of them said in a low voice, standing together with the other two. Clearly, they were the same origin. Hiding your head and covering your face. Scram if you don't want to die. The crocodile ancestor's voice was very cold. It did not take the three powerhouses of the same level seriously at all. It was strong and domineering. The three ascending level existences were shrouded in hazy divine light, and their faces could not be seen. Their eyes were deep and indifferent. After the ascending level, although there are no other levels, the ascending level is definitely not the end of cultivation. There are many higher levels. The origin of reincarnation can help us step out of the ascending level and reach a higher level. One of them said. The three of them stood together, and the light around their bodies trembled. An even more powerful divine light surged out, and the ascending level pressure was fully displayed. For a moment, the sky seemed to be falling in this place. The three ascending level pressures shook heaven and earth, and all of them were locked onto Lin Tian, causing Lin Tian to tremble violently again. He was only a ninth heaven saint now. Under the pressure of the ascending level experts, he only felt that there was a peerless killing blade on his neck, and that this killing blade could cut off his head at any time. However, in the next moment, he trembled again and relaxed. The ascending level pressure that shrouded him disappeared. Then, you are deliberately courting death. The crocodile ancestor's voice was cold, and the ascending level pressure surged into the sky, directly repelling the three people's pressure. Then, with a rumble, a giant crocodile shadow that was 10,000 feet tall appeared behind him. It was intertwined with an extremely terrifying aura, as if it could easily shatter a great world. With the appearance of this giant crocodile shadow, the three ascending level experts on the opposite side trembled slightly and were all blasted several feet away. Ascending heaven dharma form? The three of them narrowed their eyes, and their expressions changed at the same time. Only a handful of sky-level beings were able to comprehend the heavenly Dharma form. It was an extremely terrifying technique. Boom! You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.